On Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studios, powering possibilities. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com. Now, Andrew Salchunas, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
And a good Friday morning, Philadelphia. I'm Andrew Salchunas. It's the midday show here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Friday. Beautiful. The weekend is here. I'm glad because it's, just been another week of disappointment, I guess, talking about the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm excited that it's Friday. I can't believe that it's Friday, but at the same time, it's one of those weird, I feel like it went quick, but I also feel like it took forever because we had to talk about core values for a couple of days this week, which makes it a longer week. But I blink and it's Friday. I blink and it's March 1st. We're already through 2 months in the year 2024, which is incredible. So I hope everybody had a great week. I hope everybody's excited for the weekend. Let's make this a nice and easy Friday, which I wanted to do originally. So I texted Ray last night some topic ideas. And Ray and I were both excited for today's show because today's show was going to be a show of positivity. Today's show was going to be like a feel-good Friday going into the weekend, all that kind of stuff, right? It's like, I'm a hand to God. I wanted today to be a nice, easy, fun, relaxing show filled with excitement and positive vibes. And then Darius Slay had to open up his mouth again. So Darius Slay was on Steven Nelson's podcast. And I know a lot of people are wondering who Steven Nelson is. Steven Nelson actually wasn't a bad corner in the NFL. He used to be with Baltimore, and then he came to Philadelphia for a year. I think that was the first year where corners were allowed to have single-digit numbers because he wore the number 3. And I remember that looking weird. But Steven Nelson, he was with Houston last year, with Philly first season, 2 years in – sorry, he was never with Baltimore. He was with Kansas and then Pittsburgh, and so the other – AFC East team with Pittsburgh, not Baltimore, excuse me. But he was all right here. He didn't do anything spectacular. It was Nick Sirianni's first year, so that was the year they got to the playoffs, turned the season around. So, he was here for 5 minutes, right? And one of my biggest issues when players talk about Philadelphia in a negative way is the players that were here for 5 minutes, the players that were here for a cup of coffee, the players that weren't here when it was really all that great, because when it is great, you see just how much you will be loved in this city, right? If you talk to Jason Kelsey, if you talk to Bryce Harper, if you talk to Allen Iverson, right? You talk to any of the top athletes that have been here and have had success, even if it doesn't mean winning a Super Bowl. Jason Kelsey won a Super Bowl, but Harper hasn't won a World Series. Iverson never won a championship, but guys that are here and have made an impact are forever legends in the city of Philadelphia. Forever legends. We never turn our back on these legends, except maybe Julius Erving when he starts bad-mouthing Joel Embiid. Other than that, if you've been a legend in Philadelphia, you'll forever be a legend. So I have a problem when players that are here for 5 minutes open up their mouth about Philadelphia fans because they don't know the entirety of the story about us. But Darius Slay was the guest, and Darius Slay has now been here for a handful of seasons, right? He's on his second contract with the Eagles. He's been here since 2020, so he just completed his 4th season. I imagine that he will still be on this team. If any of the 2 corners were to go, I believe it would be James Bradbury. So I think Slay is still here after this year, so it will be year number 5 for Darius Slay. And Darius Slay, I think, has actually been a very good player with the Eagles. I know he had a rough Super Bowl 2 years ago. That entire defense had a rough Super Bowl in the second half of that game. And last year, he actually was good. My biggest beef with him was when he would point that out. And he is a captain of the Philadelphia Eagles, points out how well he's been playing and points out how poorly everyone else is playing. That's not good leadership. And I'm a guy that wanted Slay back. I'm a guy that's been a defender of Darius Slay. But he's making it harder and harder and harder for me to defend him when he keeps opening up his mouth. So here he is, Darius Slay, on Steven Nelson's podcast, and they're talking about playing in Philadelphia.
Hey, we're losing at halftime.
And we go in?
Mm-hmm.
Boo!
The whole stadium.
And that's the link. That bitch packed.
Leaking everybody.
That bitch packed.
Look here, everybody. it gets to a point one time.
Have you ever seen a home crowd boo you?
We get booed a lot.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Not me, but I've seen a home crowd boo people.
No.
We got our fans being the OC. Run the ball.
Yeah.
I'm talking about
the whole stadium. They get together.
Stadium.
They play mind games on the OC.
They acting like they part of the coaching staff.
Look here, they'll run the ball. It could be a negative play.
Hey,
they go cheer for it.
Hey, bro.
Just because you say because you listen.
Hey, bro. I learned quick. I said, oh yeah, I gotta get out of here. It's not good for my mental health.
Go ahead.
I'm stressed out.
I'll stress you out. Boy.
I'm stressed out.
I'm talking about because I ain't gonna lie. These probably the only fans that ever got to me before.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not used to that, bro.
It's not gonna be just somebody new all the time. It's gonna be the same one.
Yes.
And he go hit you about 30 times.
They gonna sit in the back of the bench.
Right there.
And they on your ass.
Every play.
But Big Dog,
He's terrible. What the is he doing? You gotta hear that every play. Even if you make a good play. I used to be like, it got to a point where like, So like it got to a point where like I'm playing against the fans.
So that was Steven Nelson at the end there saying it got to the point where I was playing against the fans. He told a story about how he made a stop on third down and he walked off the field and started barking back at Eagles fans, right? Which honestly I appreciate. Like I like that kind of discourse. Like I'm cool with that. If a player wants to talk back to the fans, say, "See, I made that play." Like that's cool as long as it doesn't cross the line. And I'm hoping for Steven Nelson's case, there wasn't a fan that crossed the line, right? Because we all know that fans cross the line all the time. Hell, Dollar Dog Night got canceled yesterday, probably because of the idiots that were in the stands throwing hot dogs all over the place last year, right? Like that's probably the reason why Dollar Dog Night got canceled. So people cross the line all the time, and that's horrible. But let's not act like that only happens in Philadelphia, right? That happens everywhere. We saw Kevin Durant turn around and speak to a woman as he was walking out of the tunnel because she said he sucked or called him a bitch or something like that. And he turned around and had to say words with her, right? It happens everywhere. It's not just Philadelphia. So Steven Nelson was also the one that said, I realized quickly that I have to get out of here, that it isn't good for my mental health. And he's like, I can't stand it. Now, here's the deal. The mental health is a serious nature. I just wonder how much he means by it, right? It seems almost like some players just aren't built for the city of Philadelphia. We've heard that a million times. Do me a favor, Ray. I'm sorry to put you on the spot. You don't have to do it right now, but have Josh find it. Jason Kelsey, a couple of years ago, had an incredible press conference when he talked about playing in Philadelphia and how it's not that hard as long as you do X, Y, and Z. So try to find that for me. I'm thinking about this on the fly because it really isn't all that hard. If you try hard and you're somewhat talented, you don't even have to be all that talented. T.J. McConnell was a freaking hero in this city. Now, he's put together an NBA career, but you get what I'm saying. Like, he's a backup. He's a role player. T.J. McConnell was a superstar in this city because he tried hard and had a little bit of talent, right? If you try hard, you have some talent, pandering, go for it. I don't understand why people rip Bryce Harper for pandering. You eat out of the palm of his hands because of it. So keep pandering if it makes it easier for you. You play hard. You have some talent. You pander a little bit to the crowd. You talk about how much you love playing in Philadelphia, and you are a hero, and people love you. It's really not that hard. But then there's Darius Slay, who's been here for 5 years now, or going on to his 5th season, and he says straight up, this is the first city that has actually gotten to him. Remember, there was the guy outside, the knucklehead outside of NovaCare, which I don't condone. I really hope many people don't condone. With the trash cans with Darius Slay and James Bradbury's names on them, and then a fire Sean Desai sign, right? Okay, so it's the first time a fan base has gotten to Darius Slay, but he's still here. He still wants to play here, and I think it's because he knows it is a great city to play for, as long as things are going well, right? If things are going well, it's a good city to play for. My biggest beef is when guys like Steven Nelson have that to say, and they've been here for about 5 minutes. So here's what I want to talk about today. When you hear something like that, and let's face it, it's not the first time something like that's been said. And it's not the first time that it's been said by a former player. But we also don't really hear it all that much from current players. Like, I almost give Darius Slay credit for being honest while he's still a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. Alec Boehm, remember the whole I bleep and hate it here? I don't know if he would have said that publicly. He just got caught with a camera on his face and admitted it, and to his credit, turned things around and admitted why he was so frustrated, admitted why he was so upset. But I guarantee you he wouldn't have said something on a podcast. He just got caught. And he's loved for it. But I almost give Darius Slay credit for saying it while still being here. It's guys like Steven Nelson that were once here and now they feel the need to say something. If he stuck around for one more season, what if he was on the Super Bowl team? He would have seen how much he was loved by this city. But my question for you today to start the show at 610-632-0975. When you hear something like that said, does it make you angry and make you want to boo louder, right, and be nastier? And next time Steven Nelson's here, you want him to hear what you think about him? The next time you see Darius Slay on the field, you want to let him know that you're upset with what he had to say? Or does it make you want to change? Because times are changing in Philadelphia. I always do this whole evil media thing, right? And how the media is now the biggest enemy of fans of Philadelphia. Now, part of that is because the evil media isn't always sunshines and rainbows and isn't always giving credit to players. We also have to talk about the downfalls. We also have to talk about the bad play. We have to be critical of what players are saying and how players are acting on the field, off the field, right? We aren't best friends with the players, right? And sometimes we catch heat for that. And a lot of people want to defend the players all the time, even though the players, a lot of them won't, give you a penny if you ask for it, right? But this is something where they're talking about you, not me, not Ray. They're talking about you. They're talking about the fans and how the fans act during games. But I get a sense that a lot of you are changing. I made this statement a couple of years ago with Anthony. I think a lot of people of my generation, and maybe even more so as Ray's generation, don't want to be like their fathers. They don't want to. They get offended when they hear how nasty Philadelphia fans are. So you start to change. You're not going to boo because your dad would boo. You're going to do a standing ovation for Trey Turner because your dad would have booed louder. And Mike Schmidt talks about, still to this day, how rough it was when he would get booed in Philadelphia after a win, right? Larry Boa said that at one point in his career, how they actually almost enjoyed playing on the road more because if they lost on the road, they'd be okay. They'd be able to sleep at night, whereas at home it would be hard. So I know a lot of you of my generation and more so Ray's generation kind of want to turn that page. You want to change the perception of Philadelphia. Well, it's not changing overnight, and it's not changing because if you're at the game, yeah, you are going to get booed at halftime and you're losing. So when you hear that from Darius Slay, you hear that from Steven Nelson, does it, A, make you angry and want to boo louder next time? Or B, does it almost make you want to change, and does it make you want to be even, I guess, kinder to the player because you're worried that players won't come here when more of this stuff comes out? Because you want people to be comfortable, because you think if they're comfortable, they're going to play better, like a Trey Turner after a standing ovation. Let's talk about it. 610-632-0975. We'll put up a poll in the midday count about it as well, because I know not everybody can get on the phones. I would love to kind of see where people are at with this, because my initial reaction hearing it is I'm ready to fight. Like, my back's up against the wall. I'm ready to protect Philadelphia fans. But I also kind of appreciate Darius Slay saying it for a guy who's still under contract. So we'll play that again later on this segment. We have the Jason Kelce clip. Thank you to Josh. We have the Jason Kelce clip when he talks about how it's not that hard playing in Philadelphia. But I want to hear from you. I want you to look in thyself. I want you to look in the mirror. I want you to tell me right now, when you hear Darius Slay and you hear Steven Nelson talk about how hard it is playing in Philadelphia at times, does it make you want to boo louder, or does it make you want to change? 610-632-0975. It's a Fanatic Friday presented by Pumpman Philly. For 24/7 emergency repair, pump replacement, count on Pumpman Philly. The guys know to fix your flow. Andrew Salchunas. It's the Midday Show right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
76.
975thefanatic.com.
It is 10:20 on the Midday Show, 97.5 The Fanatic. I'm Andrew Salchunas. 10 o'clock hour brought to us by Window Nation. Take advantage of Window Nation's 50% off sale on all style windows, plus make no down payment with no payments, no interest for 12 full months. Call 866-90Nation or visit windownation.com. Reacting to what Darius Slay and Steven Nelson had to say on this podcast. So if you're just tuning in, they talked about how difficult of a place to play Philadelphia is, right? And Steven Nelson admitted that after not long in Philly, he realized that he needed to get out of here because it wasn't good for his mental health. And Darius Slay, was talking about how, have you ever been on a team where your home crowd booed and all, which is nonsense. Like, I'm sorry, your home crowd definitely booed. Or maybe Darius Slay didn't realize in Detroit when his team sucked, there wasn't anything to really boo about because your team was terrible anyways. Now, let me make this clear, because I'm sure there's somebody tuning in going, of course, you got to make something out of nothing. I actually give Darius Slay credit because Darius Slay is still under contract. It's easy to, rip the city of Philadelphia when you're no longer playing for them, or if you never played for them, or if you were here for 5 minutes. Darius Slay's still saying it under contract, going, yeah, it's his first city that's ever gotten me. It doesn't look like he wants to go anywhere. He wants to play here, which I appreciate that. And I still think he's a good football player. But when you hear it, and oh, by the way, let me make this clear as well. He's talking about the fans, all right? Let me make that clear. He is talking about fans. Because right away, Charlie Rice checks in. I appreciate Charlie. Be better, Andrew. Nothing they said was wrong. This is why players can't stand sports radio. Hold on a second, my man. He's talking about the fans inside Lincoln Financial Field booing at halftime when they're losing. Not the people from the press box. I don't hear Jeff McClain booing from the press box, okay? They are talking about the fans. Lincoln Financial Field, all 80,000 strong, booing at halftime when trailing, to which I am all in favor for. You should boo. It is your chance. You're paying your hard-earned money. It is your chance to express your emotions. When you're disappointed, you boo. When you're happy, you cheer. I don't understand how that's such a hard concept to grasp for any athlete in any sport. You make a bad play, you hear some grousing. You make a good play, you hear celebration. I never understood why players can't figure that out. We're not booing you because we hate you. We're booing you because you made a bad play, and we expect more of you, especially if you're a high-priced player. Especially when we have expectations of Super Bowls and World Series and NBA championships and Stanley Cups. Right? That's why we are as into it as we are. When teams aren't competing, you see what this city does. We don't give you our attention. The Phillies went through a 10-year playoff drought, and their attendance diminished year in and year out. People are there now because it is a product worth watching. Now, the Eagles will always have a packed link. They always will. I understand that. But that's something that I think players should appreciate, because if you guys are just mediocre or bad, nobody's going to show up, and nobody's going to pay you any attention, and you can go through your nice 3-4 year career here in Philadelphia, make your money, go on and say, I was a professional athlete. That's fantastic. But, man, when you're here in Philadelphia, yeah, it does matter more here. We do care more here. But anyways, he's talking about the fans. He's not talking about the media. So before you start getting upset with me even bringing it up, he is talking about you. I'm asking you the question at 610-632-0975. When Darius Slay and Steven Nelson are critical of the Philadelphia fans, do you, A, just get angry and want to boo louder, or B, does it make you stop and think and you want to change? Now, right away, I got a couple of tweets. Mike checks in. Yeah, I'm not changing for soft people. West Virginia Rick checks in. Stop. Hurts your feelings? Come on. We are very rarely booing the player. We boo the scenario. Lots of athletes and national media people don't understand. It's okay. Philly continues to be Phillies always. Ask Bryce. Ask Trey. Ask Charles Barkley. Ask Allen Iverson. Ask Joel Embiid. Ask Nick Foles. Now, Steven Nelson has checked in on social media. He was up early, 4:18 a.m., Ray.
Wow.
He must...
Can't sleep thinking about us.
Good morning, Ray.
Good morning.
His phone must have been blowing up so much. He probably... It's like, why is my phone going? 4:18 a.m. he was up. And it was in response to... Because Eagles Nation clipped the video, and he responded to Eagles Nation. He said, I just told y'all everybody not built to play in Philly, and I'm not one of them. LOL. No bad blood. Great sports town. This is no negativity towards Philly. I'm just sharing what everyone already knows. LOL. It's a hard place to play and simple. That's another thing I also respect. I respect that he's honest. Now, it doesn't come off that way in the podcast. Like, if we're being honest, it comes off as like, man, those evil Philadelphia fans, I don't want to play there, blah, blah, blah. But I appreciate him following up on social media and saying, hey, I'm just saying it's a hard place to play in, and I'm not built for it. Good for him for being honest. But I want to play you something. I don't remember when this was. Did Josh find out the year?
It was 2021. I think it was during the Ben Simmons saga.
That's right. So Jason Kelce, right? That makes total sense because this was after the Hawks series, right? So Ben Simmons, after the Hawks series, as we know, demanded a trade. Didn't want to be here anymore. And Jason Kelce was asked about it. That's right. Now my mind's, I'm remembering this stuff, so thank you. Jason Kelce was asked about it. So October 21st, 2021. This is when Ben wasn't talking to the teammates, all this kind of nonsense, right? Here's Jason Kelce. Not that hard to play in Philadelphia.
Yeah, obviously being a good player helps out. You win a Super Bowl and have the game-winning touchdown, you're going to be pretty loved. You know, this city really appreciates accountability, appreciates people being very honest, real, emotionally invested, caring. You know, I think there's a lot of people that say it's a hard place to play. I think it's pretty easy, to be honest with you. You just go out there, play hard. You want to be loved in the city as a baseball player, run to first base. They're going to love you. I mean, that's what it comes down to. I mean, if you go up here and make a bunch of excuses, you come up here and try and lie to them and act like they don't know what they're talking about, which sometimes they don't, but that's when you really when you act that way, or when you aren't accountable if you're making mistakes or you're not getting better or anything like that, you know, they're gonna crush you. And that's most of the guys that I see, that everybody's gonna get crushed at some point. Everybody's gonna go through a downturn or be struggling, right? And at all times, the city's going to keep you accountable to be doing your job and performing. But if you stick to it and you fight through it and you get better and everything like that, they'll respect the hell out of you. Especially if you fight, even if you're struggling and you're fighting and you're really trying, they're still going to respect you. And that's what I think most guys miss. You know, I think that, I really don't think this is a hard place to play at all, to be honest with you. I think a hard place to play is, I don't want to, I think it'd be miserable to play in a place like Jacksonville where nobody cares. So,
has anybody got it more than Jason Kelce, like, ever? That was October 21st, 2021, the day after the Sixers opener that season when Ben Simmons did not play. That was the that was the middle of the saga. He did not play. Remember, he didn't show up didn't he show up to the practice facility the night of the game and couldn't get in or something? I forget what it was, but there's this whole story. But he was asked about playing in Philadelphia, and it was in response to Ben Simmons not playing. And that answer just makes freaking sense, man. And it's true. You just sprint to first base, you're going to be beloved. I freaking hate him to death. I hate him. Hate him, hate him, hate him, hate him. Would never want to see him wear a Phillies uniform. You know there are Phillies fans that would love Brandon Nimmo on this team because he sprints to first base on a walk. And people probably go, see, he does it right. That's my kind of ball player. He sprints to first. But seriously, people would probably like Brandon Nimmo. As much as I hate him, and I think he's a nerd, people would love Brandon Nimmo here in Philadelphia because he sprints to first base on a walk. So Jason Kelce just gets it. And so I'm not doing this topic ripping Darius Slay. I'm not doing this topic ripping Steven Nelson. I actually appreciate Steven Nelson straight up being honest with us and saying, yeah, I just can't play there. It's a tough place to play. I'm not built to play there. I appreciate his honesty. I appreciate Darius Slay having his comments when he's still under contract with the Eagles. Sometimes he can go without saying it during the regular season. Like the last time he made a comment about the fans was they were glad they were playing in Tampa in the playoff game because it was nice to get away from the booing. Listen, dude, like your team went from 10-1 to 11-6. Like, did you expect everyone to just pat you on the ass and say, go get him, Slay? Like, no. Nobody's going to do that. But when he makes a comment like that on the podcast, I'm not bothered by it. I'm not. Like, at first, yeah, my hair's raised up a little bit. But then I thought about it, and I go, he didn't say anything wrong. But I want to ask you today. It's 610-632-0975. Does it make you angrier and make you want to get louder and make you want to be more rash when things are going poorly? Which, by the way, when things are going poorly, Darius, like, deal with it. Or does it make you want to, like, try to change because this city's changing? What do you think, Ray?
Well, like you said, instant reaction to him was, are you kidding me? We're going to do this again with this conversation. And my instant reaction was another microphone in front of Darius Slay, and we have to do this again. I mean, the run the ball thing, right on the nose. Absolutely right on the nose. So I got to give them props on that one. They are not wrong when it comes to that. And I appreciate Steven Nelson being like, I'm not built for it. Truthfully, it doesn't make me want to change. I'm not, I'm not much of a booer, but it's not like, oh, yeah, I'm going to be so excited even though they're losing. Like, you got it. I'm not going to be, in the locker room with the inspirational second half message for them if they're awful. I'm just probably going to sit there upset, making terrible jokes and, trying to live with the fact that they played a terrible first half. Because we saw plenty of terrible first halves in the beginning of the season, and then we saw a terrible 7-week stretch to end the season.
Right.
So I'm not exactly going to be, hoorah, let's change. Boo louder? Sure. I guess if you have to put me between one of the two, I'm not really going to boo any loud. I'm not getting any more charged up against him. But I can't see myself changing because, oh, man, you're just not built to play here. Some guys aren't built to play in this city. Some guys are built for Jacksonville. You want to go play in Jacksonville? You want where no one cares? You want to go play down in some of these cities where it's like, you want to go play in Tampa in front of the fake fans?
They might want that. They might want to go down there, play their 4, 8, 10-year career, make a ton of money.
Yeah, that's fine.
Not win anything, and just be like, all right, like I had a 10-year career in the NFL where I made a lot of money. I'm great. I'm golden. There's some people that are built. Steven Nelson is clearly built like that. Steven Nelson has been in the NFL since 2015. He might play 10 years in the NFL. Now, his first 4 years were in Kansas City, so, like, that's a tough place to play, too, if we're being honest. Like, I know it's a little bit probably easier. Pittsburgh for 2 years, but Philly's just # different. But he might play a 10-year career and be okay with never really winning anything and just making a boatload of money. He probably I'm going to guess he made at least $4 million when he came here on a 1-year deal. That's just my guess. Listen, he's making a lot of money.
Yeah, that's fine. Make your money. If it's not meant for you, it's not meant for you. Do I think it's problematic that we are the way that we are? No. We've won.
No, and because we care.
We care.
We care. So, like, this is one of these, like, middle ground things where part of me wants to tell him, like, shut up. But, like, part of me also goes, all right, well, at least they're honest about it. Like, Steven Nelson's honest about it. He didn't just call us cretins and horrible human beings. It's just, it means different here.
No, I mean, I don't think they get it entirely.
No.
Like, it's really frustrating for me that Slay is continuing on this path because I feel like at this point you should get it. Like, at this point you should kind of understand.
You've been here long enough.
I don't know if he's like, I'm on Nelson's podcast. I'm going to, like, just kind of roll with him as he's going through this. I'm not going to, like, fight back at him about this because, he's had his feelings about us. But I really would want to see him just kind of lock in a little bit more to the, time and place. I really do think, Darius Slay, if you could get me, like, just nudging him next to the microphone. I'm like, hey, man, maybe not right now. Because it's the timing of these things that really drive me nuts with him.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing. So, like, Michelle checks in. Slay is a selfish player. He's good, but not a great team leader, which I don't know about the selfish part, but, like, I may agree with the second sentence. I think he's a good football player. I think he's a good corner. I don't know how great of a leader he is. Like, I haven't heard any player complain about Darius Slay taking shots at them on his podcast, but if I'm a player and he's talking about how great he played and everyone else sucked, I would probably feel a certain type of way. Like, I don't know how great of a captain he is. I don't know how much that matters, but I don't really – if I was a player, a teammate, I probably wouldn't appreciate some of the things he's saying. But Bankers checks in on Twitter. Life is hard. Work sucks. Deal with it. These mother fathers be so entitled. It's hilarious. And, yeah, to that second part, too. Like, I pay a lot of money to go to these games. I'm going to let my voice be heard if I feel the need to.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's an amplified thing. Like, you're getting more criticism and more praise depending on what's happening than anyone else does anywhere at their job. But, again, I think, like, I appreciate their honesty. I appreciate the conversation that they start with this. But ultimately, like there's a certain line. I don't think the line is drawn at, booing at halftime because they were a bad first half is where the line is for what athletes have to deal with.
Right, like, come on. Like
the guy sliding into your DMs saying horrible things about you and your family.
That's
That's
you
over
know
the
what?
line.
I'm sorry. That's everywhere. That's everywhere. That's not just here. That is freaking everywhere.
No, but I'm saying...
Like, one of the things that pissed me off about, like, Danny Green took so many shots at Philadelphia fans on his way out, which was ridiculous, and then, tried coming back. When at one point in his career, he opened up about the death threats he received from Lakers fans, which is horrible. Horrible. But he's talking about how tough of a place it is to play in Philadelphia and how nasty Sixers fans can be. Well, come on, really? You had that horrible experience, and yet we're scum.
No, I was just using that as an example. I'm not saying that's something that I think is commonplace here.
Right.
I'm just saying that them drawing the line at booing at halftime.
Yeah, like the
have you
booing-
ever seen the home crowd boo you on the way off the field? It's like, all right,
Yeah,
dude.
probably everywhere.
Or you just haven't played places where it means
Where
this.
it means, yeah, exactly. So we'll get to this poll coming up because the results are fascinating. Let's go to Malik in D.C. What's up, Malik?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
How you doing, man?
Hey, listen, I can appreciate, and understand mental, health, and it's a real thing, and it's nothing to be, laughed at. But at the same time, like, listen, we are a blue-collar town, and especially someone like Darius Slay. You played in Detroit. You played in another blue-collar town. We work hard. I'm from Philadelphia. I live in D.C. now, but I'm from Philly. I'm a 20-year season ticket holder. I drive up to these games. And I know at the end of the day, like, what we do as fans to try to get tickets to be there, we shouldn't just be there just to cheer. I mean, we should be able to boo and say whatever, on a respectable level, what we want.
And here's my question. So Darius Slay, like, they want support, right? So if we can't boo, why don't we just not cheer either? Why don't we just sit in silence for 4 quarters? Don't even make a peep.
Yeah, what would be the point of that, right? So we're there to actually, if you can't take the mental, the booing of it, like, listen, you make millions of dollars to do exactly what you want to do in life, to play a game. That's awesome. But at the same time, we go here for a couple hours, and we should be able to celebrate or boo if you're not doing what we want to see happen out on this field.
Yeah, and one of the things that I think players don't realize is, like, we've been here. We're here before you. We'll be here after you. The Eagles will mean more to us than they will ever mean to you as a player. There's a couple of obviously lifelong Eagles, lifelong Phillies, lifelong Sixers and Flyers, but a guy like Steven Nelson, he doesn't care about Philadelphia, right? Whereas we do. We've been here forever.
Right.
Definitely. I hear you, Malik. I appreciate the call, man. Thanks for checking in. So the poll we have on the midday account now, I'll be honest, I am surprised by these results. Just amazed by these results. Do the comments by Darius Slay and Steven Nelson about Philadelphia fans make you want to boo louder or change? Now, when we first put up the poll, I was waiting for just like hate, right? Like, how dare you guys even talk about this? But again, this was addressed to the fans, not addressed to sports radio, not addressed to the reporters, right? Evil media. This was addressed to you, the Eagles fans that attend week in and week out at Lincoln Financial Field, every home game. And if you're upset, you let the players know, which, by the way, I am in favor of. 83% boo louder. And just 17% say change as a fan base. So people definitely feel a certain type of way about what Darius Slay and Steven Nelson had to say. Because when we first started talking about it, I started getting heat for even bringing it up. But clearly the people are letting their voices heard that they are not happy with Darius Slay and Steven Nelson. I wonder if it came from anybody else other than Darius Slay. Like if it came from Fletcher Cox or Brandon Graham, right? Who has had his back and forth with fans when he blocked everybody on social media. I wonder what the reaction would be if it was anybody else. But because it's Darius Slay, who's been vocal in the past and hasn't really been vocal in any sort of positive way, right, other than himself, talking about how great he is. I wonder if it was anybody else, it would be a different reaction, but 87%, dude. Yeah, 83%.
And I think that's why when I first see this, my initial reaction is annoyed and already feeling myself ready to get mad about this. Like, are you kidding me? Like, we're doing this again. Darius Slay on a podcast, talking about Philadelphia, saying something. Like, I was kind of tired of it when I saw it already appearing, and I was like, well, this is where we're headed with this conversation because I'm just sick of him, doing it. But then when you actually listen to it, to me, actually listening to it, taking it in, they got a point on the run the ball thing. And Steven Nelson.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I'm in favor of yelling "run the ball" because it shows that we're into it. It shows that we're invested into it, and it shows that we're upset with the play calling. Which, were you happy with the play calling? Forget the running the ball portion
but that's the
of it.
thing.
Like, were you happy with the? All right, run the ball is easier than make your play calls better. Make your play calls better.
I'm fine with just boo.
Yeah, but you're making your statement heard about run the ball.
Yeah, well, fine. I'll start the pass the ball chant then. I don't know what you want from me on that one, but
pass the ball better. Pass the ball better.
I don't know. I'll get excited when you get a first down.
Slant route to AJ. Slant route to AJ.
Go. That's one. We'll
no
get
more
signs.
bubble screens. No more bubble screens. Can we make that a chant? Because I'd be in favor of that one.
Yeah, I'm all for it. We'll start workshopping how to make it sound the best. We'll start getting people, lined up to do it. We'll organize it for next season.
We'll practice it.
Yeah, we'll mobilize. But ultimately, when it comes down to these comments, like, he's not built for it. Like, Steven Nelson has clearly said he's not built for this team.
He straight up admitted it. Yeah.
I'm not built to play in Philadelphia. That's fine. You're not built to play here. Do we miss out on players because of this? I would have a hard time believing that's the case. Is there a few players maybe that wouldn't mesh here that could be great other places? Sure. I think to have the mentality to play here and be a part of here is probably the mentality. Like, you look at some of the best teams that we've seen in sports. We talk all the time about our cousins up in Boston. Mm-hmm. They're just as crazy. They're just as, passionate.
New York?
Well, they do a lot of winning. New York, as of late,
Yeah.
But Boston, they've done a lot of winning. They've been just as passionate, just as crazy up there. I can't sit here and say that I think it's to our detriment that we're this way.
Yeah, you know what? Let's talk about this next at 610-632-0975. I would like to imagine that there's more positive stories about playing in Philadelphia than negative. All right, so you get booed. Oh, I'm sorry. But, like, you walk around this city and you're a hero. You're a superstar. Like, you walk around, you're a big deal in this city. I almost would like to think that it's, like Jason Kelsey said, it's easy. If you just run to first base, you're going to be right at home. I would like to think that there's more good that comes out of playing in Philadelphia than bad. All right, so you get booed. Yeah, there's knuckleheads on social media. That's going to be any fan base. Like, let's not act like it's only here. So we'll talk about that. I would love to hear from you. Answer the question, because Darius Slay and Steven Nelson were talking about you. Let me make that clear. You. Not me on the radio. Not the guys writing on blogs. Not the guys writing in newspapers. Not the guy doing podcasts. You. So when you hear that you could be a problem, does it make you want to change? Or does it just make you want to fight back and boo louder? 610-632-0975. Also, there was a topic that I was going to do originally before I saw this podcast clip this morning. And it's a positive, happy topic. I'll give you that next right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic. Fanatic and 97.5 thefanatic.com.
It is 10:50 on the Midday Show, 97.5 The Fanatic. I'm Andrew Salchunas. Before I get back to the topic on hand and the next topic that I'm going to open up, I just want to tell you guys about an awesome story that I've kind of been following along on social media. Ray, you're Mr. Online. You probably know the Twitter account, Icy Vert.
Yeah.
Have you seen this pop up on the timeline?
I've seen the account. I know what you're talking about.
All right, so Icy Vert is an Eagles fan from Philadelphia. I don't know Icy Vert. I have no idea who Icy Vert is. But the profile picture is Jalen Hurts with the with the arms crossed, right? Almost 25,000 followers. So
props.
Congratulations.
Congrats on your success.
Now there was a big uptick in followers for Icy Vert, and there's a reason why. I don't know how this started, but Icy Vert, the Twitter account, somehow got into reaching out to NASCAR racers or something.
Oh.
I think there's a local NASCAR racer, somebody that's from the Philadelphia area. And, Pocono Raceway is not that far from here, right? I guess that would be our home. Would that be our home track?
Well, how close are we? I guess it's close to Dover, right?
Oh, that's a good point. Maybe. I'm not sure.
Look at that.
Yeah,
you didn't expect NASCAR from me.
That's good work out of you.
You thought I was out of my lane.
So, Icy Vert on social media all of a sudden, starts reaching out to this NASCAR racer, and all of a sudden all these drivers start following him. I guess they're trying to grow the sport or the intrigue or whatever. Look, I don't know the whole story to it, but now all of a sudden it's gotten to a point where one of the racers reached out to the commissioner of NASCAR and was able to get him and a couple of his buddies or family or whatever tickets to go to a race somewhere.
Wow.
I don't know if it's in Nashville. I don't know where, but he's going to a race, or he or she. He or she is going to a race. Icy Vert is going to a race, and I think that's just pretty cool. Social media can be a horrible place more often than not.
Yeah,
way more often than not. Social media is not really a place you go to for happiness.
Yeah,
no, it's for sports interaction, mainly negative, and just crap in life. That's what social media is all about. But when you see a good story, especially when it's locally, where somebody local is getting all of a sudden these random tickets to NASCAR, that's awesome. I think it's just
really cool, yeah.
Cool little story to follow along. All right, so the opening topic, what we start off with, is in response to Darius Slay and Steven Nelson. Let's play the clip one more time in this hour at least. Darius Slay was on Steven Nelson's podcast. Steven Nelson played for the Eagles for a season. It was year one of Sirianni back in 2021. He played all 16 games. He wasn't horrible. He wasn't all that great. But
on the team when Jason Kelsey talks about how great it was to play in Philadelphia.
That's right. It's a good point. But he's still in the league. Played for Houston last year, and we all know how fun of a team the Texans were last year. So he's actually a decent football player. Right? He doesn't stink. So here he is talking about playing in Philadelphia, and Darius Slay was his guest on the podcast.
Hey, we're losing at halftime,
and we go in.
Mm-hmm. Boo! The whole stadium.
And that's the link. That bitch packed.
Leaking everybody.
That bitch packed.
Look at everybody. it gets to a point one time.
Have you ever seen a home crowd boo you?
We get booed a lot.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Not me, but I've seen a home crowd boo people.
No.
We got our fans being the OC. Run the ball.
Yeah.
I'm talking about
the whole stadium. They get together. They play mind games on the OC.
Oh, they acting like they part of the coaching staff.
Look here, they'll run the ball. It could be a negative play.
Hey,
they go cheer for it.
Hey, bro.
Just because you said, because you listen.
Hey, bro. I learned quick. I said, oh yeah, I gotta get out of here. It's not good for my mental health.
Go ahead.
I'm stressed out.
I'm stress you out. Boy.
I'm stressed out.
I'm talking about because I ain't gonna lie. These probably the only fans that ever got to me before.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not used to that, bro.
It's not gonna be just somebody new all the time. It's gonna be the same one.
Yes.
And he go hit you about 30 times.
They gonna sit in the back of the bench.
Right there.
And they on your ass.
Every play.
But Big Dog,
he's terrible. What the is he doing? You gotta hear that every play. Even if you make a good play. I used to be it got to a point where So it got to a point where I'm playing against the fans.
So, all right, let's unpack this, right? So I will be honest. When I first listened to it this morning, I was ready to defend the land, right? Defend the city of Philadelphia. And then I started thinking about it. But let's unpack it, right? So Darius Slay, he started talking first about Have you ever been on a team where your home crowd booed you? Well, I'm sorry, Darius. Like, you played for the Detroit Lions when they were direct, like when trash bags were over the faces, right? Wasn't that the paper bags? He was on that squad. Pretty sure. Or one of them. Like, the Detroit Lions were not good when Darius Slay was with the Lions. They may have made the playoffs one time. I'm not sure. So, yeah, like, Detroit cares, but Detroit hadn't had a reason to care for a long time, so you probably didn't experience it. You come to Philadelphia where we're hungry for a Super Bowl. And, oh, by the way, you come here after the Super Bowl, so we want more, right? We got the taste. We want the whole steak now. And so Darius Slay's talking about the booing and at halftime. But, well, yeah, if you're a fan, you have every right to grouse when things aren't going well. And when things are going well, Darius, like, here's the one thing that bothers me with this conversation. Well, there's a couple things that bother me, but I'm not, like, up in arms. But one of the things that bothers me, Darius Slay also knows what it's like when things are going well. They were 14-3 just 2 years ago. They were 10-1 to start this season. You mean to tell me you only heard the boos and you never heard cheers? You never heard celebration? You never heard how awesome you are and how much we love you? Not just you specifically, but the entire team. But yes, also you specifically. When Darius Slay first came here, we celebrated. Oh, my God, we have a legitimate corner on this team. So what bothers me is a lot of athletes only talk about how loud we are and how rambunctious we are and how nasty we can get, which I get it. That stuff usually sticks with you more than praise. But sometimes I wish these athletes would sit back and go, but you know what, man, when things are good, I'm a king in the city of Philadelphia. If Darius Slay makes a play on the goal line instead of giving up one of the 2 touchdowns when they did the mirror play, and I'm not taking a shot at Darius Slay here, but if he made a play on the goal line, he's forever a hero. Look at Nick Foles. Like, Nick Foles is a forever hero. Every player on that Super Bowl team is a forever hero. Corey Clement gets more love than Joel Embiid in the city. Why? Because he won a Super Bowl and made an impact in the Super Bowl. And I'm not joking when I say that. Like, I guarantee you there are people that would be more excited to meet Corey Clement than Joel Embiid because he won a Super Bowl and had an impact in it, even though he was an undrafted free agent and hasn't done anything since that year. And Joel Embiid is a perennial MVP. But what's that one? That's one of my biggest issues is that, like, they always rip Philadelphia, but they never give the credit where credit's due. Now, Steven Nelson is honest, which I appreciate. He tweeted out after this clip went viral, he said, I just told y'all everybody's not built to play in Philly, and I'm not one of them. No bad blood, great sports town. This is no negativity towards Philly. I'm just sharing what everyone already knows. It's a hard place to play, plain and simple, which I appreciate him straight up being honest and saying, I'm not built for it. And he left. He didn't try to stick around for 5 years. He just decided he wanted to leave. Now, you said Darius Slay also tweeted?
Yes, so we got a tweet from Slay. I don't know where the negativity coming from. I love and appreciate all the fans of the sport, especially from the 2 cities I played in. I will never have nothing negative to say about Detroit or Philly. The only negative I could say is both cities get too damn cold for me. Love y'all.
Now, that's bull because I'm sure he does have some complaints about Philadelphia. Like, you know.
A lot of potholes.
Yeah, I got problems with Philadelphia.
A lot of potholes.
Been living in and around Philadelphia my entire life. I have complaints about Philadelphia, right? Like, be honest with ourselves. But anyways, like, yeah, I mean, Slay, somebody just tweeted and said, you got to listen to the whole podcast. Darius Slay said he loves playing in Philadelphia. Yeah, I said that. I pointed that out. I don't think Darius Slay doesn't like playing here. But I do think sometimes there's too much complaining about the booing and not realizing that when you went from 10-1 to 11-6, fans have every reason and every right to voice their frustration to an extent. Right, you talked about sliding in the DMs and saying awful things to Kenneth Gainwell. Like, yeah, like you shouldn't be able to do that.
The boo is one thing. Like, the boo to me is a fine thing. You know, throwing, popping off, saying things, getting a little too much. Like, there is a line. The problem I have with this is the booing at halftime being the line. That's not the line for fan conduct.
Right.
That's more the issue I take with this from this comment. Because again, there are things in here I agree with, and there's things here that I'm like, yeah, you got a point. You're right about that. Again, I do think, like you said earlier with Slay, like, had it been someone else, how we feel about it. I do think that a large majority of this fan base got frustrated with Slay on his podcast this year, where it's like they saw a microphone, they saw Darius Slay say there.
And I was. Look, Darius Slay, to me, was a horrible leader. For him to go on his podcast in back-to-back weeks and talk about how great he played, but the rest of the team sucked, like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you don't have to put that out there publicly. If I'm one of his teammates, I'm going, bro, really?
Galaxy brain leadership here. If you say that, all the attention goes on you for at least 24 hours.
No, but the attention on you is also talking about how much your teammates sucked. He literally said, my team didn't play worth ass or worth whatever he said.
Worth a bleep, yeah.
Worth a bleep. But I played great. Like that.
No, it's bad. It was bad.
That's rubbing me the wrong way as a radio host. I can only imagine what his teammates would say. Like, if I had an awful show and you're walking around here and you're tweeting out, man, Andrew was awful today, but I made some great points. I go, yeah, bro, really? Like,
I'd only ever do that on my burner. Don't worry.
I appreciate it. I just, like, that rubbed me the wrong way, and I'm not even the one that was offended by it. I imagine some of his teammates felt a certain type of way. All right, let's go to the phones, and then I'm going to open up this positive topic that I actually had in store for today until I saw the podcast this morning. Let's go to Q in Center City. What's up, Q?
How you guys doing today?
How you doing?
I'm okay. Now, I want to comment on what Darius and them said. Like, it was certain words that was challenged. You know, that place wasn't good for my mental health. Not just the booing. The stuff that behind the bench, the stuff that's being said.
Right.
And we got Darius Slay, who come from Detroit, and he's talking about this place. When do we take accountability as fans?
Well, and that's why I asked the question, Q. The topic regarding this podcast is, does it make you want to boo louder, or does it make you want to change? So I'll ask you, does it make you want to change a little bit?
Absolutely. It's too many athletes, star athletes that came through here that say the same thing. You think that word ain't going around? You think when they homies, they friends, hey, Philly, or like people are scared. When I hear the word, I got to get out that place because they ain't good for my mental health. Cool. And then I heard, like, I think it was Andrew, you was talking about the praise. These guys been praised since high school, college. You think Philadelphia is treat them like kings more than a college teams did? Like, come on,
I think it depends. I think it depends on where you went to college, because obviously down south, SEC, you're a god. But like, you know, with all due respect to my Temple Owls, if you went to Temple, like, you're not walking around Philadelphia getting like all this much praise.
No doubt. But what I'm saying is that these guys, for the most part, have been praised from high school and up to maybe individuals.
Right, like Ben Simmons is a perfect example, right? He was called the Prince. He was the next LeBron before he played a second in the NBA.
Absolutely. So my point is, when do we take accountability as fans? I mean, because this is nothing different than any other athlete. Like, they all say it.
Yeah, but Q, doesn't all cities boo? It might be different here. It might be more here. But like, all cities boo.
Let's get off the boo.
All right, so it's everything else. And you know what? I can tell you, Q, that there are horrible people in other cities. And yes, there are horrible people here in Philadelphia. I don't run away from it. That guy who stood outside of NovaCare with the signs that said fire Sean Desai and had trash cans with James Bradbury and Darius Slay's name on it, that guy's a jackass. And then he, like, to me, like, I don't want to be friends with him. And thanks for the call, Q. Like, I'm not defending that guy. There are horrible people. That guy's a jerk off for doing that. It's a terrible thing to do. But I guarantee you it happens in all cities. Like, we don't have to act like Philadelphia's the only city that maybe goes a little bit too far with the things we say about athletes. You go to any. I remember. Was it Cody Parkey, the double doink?
Yes.
When he was on the Bears.
Yes.
It was Cody Parkey.
Yes.
Death threats from Chicago Bears fans.
Right.
For missing the field goal. Like, I'm sorry to go to the extreme, but this kind of awful stuff where people should rot in hell for it, saying the things they say, it happens all over the place. It's not just Philadelphia.
And let's not act like the praise, the effusive praise. Yeah, high school, mostly it's praise. College, let's just not act like college fans are all unanimously, go team, go.
Right.
Go team, go.
It might be worse in some colleges.
Some colleges, in the way they treat their athletes, and the way, you know, the regard that they take for these, I hesitate to use the word amateur, but the regard they use for the athletes is not the nicest thing.
Yeah,
and that's the only show in town.
You're an 18 or 19-year-old kid in some of these cities, and you're getting attacked.
Right. So, like, to act like, oh, it's just so perfect everywhere else, not the case.
No, it's not. And it might be louder here, but, like, Q's saying, let's forget, move on from the boo. Well, hold on a second. Darius Slay was literally complaining about getting booed at halftime.
So, okay, we want to go with this.
In that clip, what we playing, in response to you, the fans, Darius Slay's complaining about booing.
We want to go behind the bench. What people are saying behind the bench. We're going to have
happens
issue.
Everywhere, man.
Yeah, it happens. It happens everywhere. 2, we're going to take issue with the guy that, dropped probably the kids' college fund on sitting. And I get it. Those people that are sitting, front row.
They
like
can afford it.
Mike Trout. Yeah. Like, we're going to say, okay, those people paying whatever it is to sit front row. Like, again, there's a line.
There's a line that you shouldn't cross. But if he wants to stand up and say, you're playing horribly today, well, it comes with being on the sideline. Hey, you're playing the NFL. You're going to hear it. You're not going to get praise all the time.
No. The idea that also, 2021, I'm sure Steven Nelson's thinking about the 2-5 start. Right. I'm sure that's right on his mind, where it's like, yeah, you were playing terrible. And also, I remember the completion percentage of quarterbacks against that secondary that season.
At historic rates. So, yeah, you probably heard a thing or two.
Yeah.
The number to climb in, 610-632-0975. The poll, do the comments by Darius Slay and Steven Nelson about you, Philadelphia fans, make you want to boo louder or change? 83% still saying boo louder. 17% say change as a fan base. So Q in the minority there, saying he wants to change as a fan base. I do like the question, though. When do we start taking accountability? Let's open that up as well. But on a more positive note, because, look, it's been tough. It's been tough. And every once in a while, I'm trying to look for something to be positive about. Now, I don't have anything specific to be positive about, which is why I want your help today. For the rest of the show, at 610-632-0975 and on social media as well, I want you to tell me what you are most excited about in Philadelphia sports right now. So here's your chance to, talk about something that you're happy about. So, I saw another tweet today with, of course, you're talking about this instead of talking about the Sixers and the Flyers. I wanted to do that today. Ray, as my witness, I texted you yesterday. Let me read you the text.
I'm so excited.
Verbatim.
So excited.
So this is the text I sent Ray Dunn. I should probably screenshot it just so that there's actual proof. I texted Ray yesterday at 2:43. I did the old Siri because I was driving home. Ideas for tomorrow. A feel-good Friday type of show asking people what they're most excited about in all of Philadelphia sports. It gives us a way to get away from the negative conversation day in and day out. To which Ray responded, I like the excitement. Avoid any more negativity. We were actually looking forward to coming in here and talking about the happy things that are in Philadelphia sports because, as I've said multiple times, we are actually in a very good time. It's just our expectations are so high. We've reached a boiling point when teams are falling short, which is why we pop off the way that we do, because the Phillies are so close. The Eagles have been so close. The Sixers are always close, but there's always something with them. We had 3 championship losses in the span of 100 days, which is the first time in United States history, right, for a city to go through that when we had that with the Union and Phillies and the Eagles. So, yeah, it's been pretty tough for us. But what is something that you are most excited about in Philadelphia sports? And it can be anything. It could be a team. It could be a player. It could be an event. Anything. Something that you're actually excited about. Ray, do you have an answer in mind?
Well, I mean, there's one season that's on the horizon that I'm incredibly excited about.
Yep.
But to keep it more specific with what's going on with that team, I'm excited for a full season of Bryce Harper.
Yes.
That is...
Knock on wood, damn it.
Yeah.
Knock on wood, damn it.
A full season, but a season in which, and I think the point was made, one of the reporters over the last week or so talking about a full spring and full normal spring for Bryce Harper, where we come into a season ready to see what he could do over the 162. Again, knock on wood on that. But I'm excited for that because I'm excited for, one, what the numbers might look like and what it's going to get the Phillies off to start-wise this season.
I have 2 for you. And it's going to surprise you, the name I give you. But I have 2 for you, and it's 2 totally different spectrums. I'm very excited for Aaron Nola this year. I know I'm not the biggest Nola. I never really have been.
I was waiting for the other shoe to drop on this comment.
I think he's a good pitcher. He just frustrates me to no end, and he's a guy that I don't consider an ace of a staff, but I think he's a hell of a pitcher. I've always said he's a 2 and would be an elite 3 in a rotation, right? Which is what he is here. He's a 2. He's Zach Wheeler's number 1, Aaron Nola's number 2. He's a good pitcher. I wonder how much the contract year got to him last year and year 1 of the clock, because he is too fidgety for me, right? They worked on some things. There was a fascinating story from, I think it was Alex Coffey that wrote it with Caleb Cotham, and one of the adjustments they made was just where he's looking when he's looking back at a runner. Instead of going over his right shoulder, he's now looking over his left shoulder, and that way he can see the runner and he can see the clock at the same time. All kind of like little intricacies, and you saw how much it made a difference. I'm excited for a full season of Aaron Nola now that the contract is done. He's here, right? He doesn't have to worry about that kind of stuff. The other side of the spectrum, I can't wait for the final game of Tobias Harris. That's this year, allegedly. Unless they bring him back, which I think would be crazy. But that's something I'm excited about. Now, I understand that's a negative way to be excited about something, but I'm excited about it. I'm sorry. I'm excited for the next player that comes in here and is actually a better fit with the Sixers, because I'm still excited for the Sixers. I think the Sixers are still a championship contender next season, let alone this year. So what is it that you're most excited about in Philadelphia sports? I wanted it to be a happy-go-lucky, feel-good Friday until the Slay and Nelson podcast dropped and we had to react to it. But what is it that you're most excited about in Philadelphia sports at this moment? Would love to hear from you next. 610-632-0975. We'll reset the entire show. Also, something really cool that the Sixers are doing, something that is way overdue now that I realized how long it's been. But something cool that the Sixers are doing that I would love to talk about next right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic.com.
It's 11:18 on the Midday Show, 97.5 The Fanatic, 11 o'clock hour, brought to us by Golden Nugget Jewelers. That's where Philly gets engaged. I'm Andrew Salchunas on a Fanatic Friday. Fanatic Fridays presented by Pumpman Philly for 24/7 emergency repair or pump replacement. Count on Pumpman Philly, the guys who know how to fix your flow. So today, I was originally going to get into a conversation about positive stuff, excitement, things that we're looking forward to. And then the Darius Slay and Steven Nelson podcast dropped, and that kind of changed the course of the show. And we'll get back to that in a little bit because I know there are some people that want to talk about it. The poll that's running is mainly anti-Slay and Steven Nelson, but we did have a caller, Q, who said, when is it our turn to take accountability? Because he talks about all the players that have spoken out about Philadelphia and how tough it is to play here, and maybe that's why we don't get some free agents and yada, yada, yada. Even though I could look at the baseball team, and they've gotten a lot of big free agents that have been wanting to come here. Part of it is probably because of Bryce Harper, but Bryce Harper's love for the city of Philadelphia may have added to the players that want to come here. Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, Nick Castellanos, Zach Wheeler before that, Aaron Nola wanting to stay here. I mean, think about it. Is Philadelphia such an awful place if Aaron Nola, of all people, wanted to stay here? Like, Aaron Nola has heard Aaron Nola's heard probably more hate in the last 2 years than love, I would guess.
Not just the last 2 years.
Even with the World Series and an NLCS performance, he's probably gotten more heat than love.
But he's addicted to postseason baseball at Citizens Bank Park.
Citizens Bank Park, because he could get to the postseason if he would have signed with the Braves. Because let's face it, the Braves are going to be in the postseason. The Braves might win the division again this year. If there's anybody that you want to look to for an example of loving playing here, it's Aaron Nola, I guess.
That's right. He's an exemplary
Is he not?
Philadelphia athlete.
The guy gets crushed all the time, by me included, and he still wants to a 7-year deal. Yeah, he got millions of dollars for it.
$170 million doesn't hurt.
But he was offered more from Atlanta?
That's what they're saying.
And isn't Atlanta closer to where he grew up?
That's what geography tells me.
He wanted to be here.
He's addicted to postseason baseball at the bank. Me too, Aaron.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll see you at the next meeting.
So we're reacting to the Slay and Steven Nelson podcast, but one of the things I'm opening up, I want you to tell me what is number one on your mind right now when I say, what are you most excited about in Philadelphia sports? And this is a chance for anybody to chime in, because for the people that get upset that we don't talk like much about the Flyers, or even the Sixers have not been talked about as much because of all the stuff that is going on with the Eagles. We have Phillies baseball right around the corner. I'll be at Clearwater Monday and Tuesday doing shows from Baycare. Can't wait to do that. But now's your chance to be able to be opening up about the things that you're most excited about. Because not only is Aaron Nola and his season approaching something I'm excited about, and the end of Tobias Harris, I'll tell you another thing. Flyers playoff hockey. Now, I'm hoping they stay in the playoffs, right? The trade deadline's coming up in a week, right? 1 week from today, March 8th, I believe the NHL trade deadline is. Yeah, 1 week from today. They might be sellers. But who knows? Maybe they're still good enough with the talent that they keep that they can still make the playoffs. Because right now, if the season were to end today, they're in the playoffs. They're third place in the Metropolitan. Like, I'm excited for Flyers playoff hockey. And this is I'm not expecting a cup run. I'm not. All due respect, I don't know if Sam Erson's going to, carry them all the way to the Stanley Cup. I'm not sure. But playoff hockey is something that you want to talk about, people get behind. In this city especially, that building is going to be rocking no matter what the odds are, no matter what the series is, because we've seen them come back from a 3-0 deficit, 3-0 deficit, being down 3-0 in one of the games, right? Playoff hockey's right around the corner. That's something that I'm excited for. So what is it, number one on your mind right now, that you're most excited about in Philadelphia sports? Would love to hear from you, 610-632-0975. Matt checks in on social media saying, seeing the Sixers team when Embiid comes back, it's a perfectly molded for him, but currently brutal to watch. I agree. It is brutal to watch. which they'll be playing the Hornets tonight. You can listen live right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. And Shawnee also says, Joel, but he says, but being realistic, I would say Philly season, hoping we can have another run before Dodgers start really locking in the National League. Yamamoto looked nasty.
Yeah.
He looked – I don't know what the odds are for Cy Young. I might get a ticket today. I watched
Probably too late in that investment.
I watched 2 innings. His stuff is filthy. You know, I feel like a lot of people said, go get him without ever watching him pitch. I wasn't breaking down his film. I watched him pitch the other day, and oh boy, he's gonna be he's the real deal.
Yeah. When they were saying 25-year-old ace,
he's the real deal.
I understand it's spring training. That stuff's gonna carry.
Yeah, no, that's
gonna work.
He looks nasty, so that's gonna be kind of scary. And of course, Ohtani goes yard in his first at bat as a Dodger.
Man. And the underrated storyline of that whole thing is okay, they're doing it in spring training. They did it off of Joe Musgrove, and I know Musgrove, was banged up at times last year, and it's the first start of the spring. But that lineup just destroyed Joe Musgrove.
Where are the ears? Wasn't that was the NLCS?
Yeah,
they checked his ears.
Yep,
he had the greasy ears. That was awesome. All right. The thing that I also wanted to bring up that the Sixers are doing, which I can't believe it's been this long, but I'm happy for it. So outside of their practice facility, they have statues of some of the legends of Philadelphia. Charles and Wilt and Doc. Moses, I believe, is one of the statues. And they're now adding the Allen Iverson statue. It was announced today that Allen Iverson will be having a statue built for him outside of the practice facility, which I think is so cool. Look, I mean, Iverson's my childhood hero, right? Like he's number one. I've talked about this before. Doing this, I've lost the times where I'm not starstruck anymore, right? Doing this. When I was at a Sixers game about 2 or 3 years ago with the station and Iverson walked into the suite, I was a child again. I got a picture with him. I was standing up tall, right? My chest was out. I had this boyish smile. I'm sorry, I don't care. I'm gonna be starstruck every time I see AI. I was at a game earlier this year where he was there on the court. I wasn't even anywhere near him. The fact when they showed him up on the screen, I love that guy.
He came to the Rumph over the summer, and I was there. And honestly, I caught myself just watching Allen Iverson watch
you're
basketball.
watching him. You're not watching the game anymore. You're watching him. You're not watching the Classic.
No, I was just locked in. He was baseline, and of course, he's the mayor. Everybody's coming, trying to talk to him, obviously get a picture, see what they could do. But watching him enjoy basketball was fun for me.
Yeah,
there was a great game happening in front of me. I think it was the game Bones Island went off. And I was seeing the two of them also interact post-game. But, I'm sitting there watching as Allen Iverson enjoys basketball. I'm like, there's a game in front of me, but all I want to see is how Allen Iverson takes this in.
Yeah, so I think it's really cool that the Sixers are doing that. Long overdue, honestly, but I'm glad that it's finally happening. I'm glad that he's getting recognized now. I know Tony in West Philly wants to talk about it. What's up, Tone?
Tunis. Good morning, fellas. How y'all doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm very disappointed. I'm opposite of how you feel, Tunis. I've been to Los Angeles numerous times, and then when I go to the Staples Center and I see those big, beautiful statues of Shaq dunking a ball, and now the Kobe statue who's going to get 3. And they want to put arguably the best Sixer of all time. They want to give him a puny statue outside of the practice facility. Allen Iverson.
All right, hold on. Let's talk about it. First off, they do have a walk. They have.
I've seen it, Tunis. It's puny. It's corny.
Okay. I understand.
Okay, all right, Tunis. Have you been to the Staples Center?
No, I've not. Not been fortunate enough to get out there.
Tunis, ask anybody that's been to the Staples Center, and when you see those statues outside of those buildings, and you look at our statues, the best statues we got is Joe Frazier and Mike Smith. Why are all of our Sixers star statues as puny?
Well, hold on. I'm not done yet. You didn't let me finish. You think they're building a big statue outside the Wells Fargo Center right now?
If they're going to move it to the Sixers, are they going to build Iverson a new statue and put it in front of the Sixers' new stadium? If it's built in 29, I'm all for that.
Okay, that's what I'm waiting. Look, if they build it, if that arena happens, so let's revisit 5-10 years from now. All right, Tony.
Yes. All right. We
Because I hear you. Like, it would be great if there were Sixer statues outside the Wells Fargo Center, but I don't think they're going to be breaking any new ground outside of that building anytime soon.
If they do that, I'll be so happy. Because soon as I'm a little jealous, man. I mean, Kobe's getting 3. I mean, his statue, the one he got now, is amazing. I'm like, this is how Allen Iverson's his statue's supposed to be on that tier.
I hear you. All right, well, here, hopefully when the new arena's built, thanks for the call, Tone. Hopefully when the new arena's built, they build some statues outside of the Wells Fargo Center, or outside of, 76ers Place?
76th place.
76th Place. Hopefully.
Or wherever, yeah. Whenever there's a new arena, I'm sure that they will be sure to give you the tributes to their players. But like you said,
they're not doing anything anytime soon outside that building.
No, I don't think that they're going to do anything outside that building anytime soon.
All right, so a couple of tweets coming in about the stuff that they're most excited about. Mike checks in with future of the Flyers. Jack checks in with the Flyers. So there's some Flyers love right now, which is great. I'm surprised I was the first one to say it, honestly. I'm excited for Flyers playoff hockey, which could be coming this spring. As long as the floor doesn't fall out from beneath them, which I don't think that it will, even though after they might be sellers at the deadline, will be sellers at the deadline, as we talked about. That's something I'm excited about. Go Flyers, man. All right, let's see what else we got. Our man, the Slime, is checked in. And he sends in something that you tweeted out yesterday. And there's a reason why I'm rocking the Temple gear today. We got the schedule.
That's right, we did.
So the Slime's excited for Temple football to go into Oklahoma and upset the Sooners on August 31st.
So I was talking about this. That weekend, I have a wedding in Kansas City.
Okay.
So I'll be in the Midwest. It is a Sunday night wedding.
Oh, God.
Well, it's Labor Day weekend.
Okay.
So it works out. Listen, I'm not here to crap all on my guy's wedding. You know, I'm showing up.
No,
Problem is, do I make the trip to Norman, Oklahoma?
Do it.
Part of me's thinking about it.
Do it. And do it knowing Temple's going to get spanked.
I'm going to go, I'm going there with the thoughts of I'm walking out with Oklahoma's hearts in my hand.
Do it knowing Temple's going to get spanked.
I'm going out there with the irrational confidence.
No. Do it knowing Temple's going to get spanked so that you enjoy yourself more.
I think I'm going to enjoy being, like, I haven't been outside of Penn State, like, that's like the one crazy college town type experience that I've had for a football Saturday.
So I went to Notre Dame with my buddy a couple of years ago. That was when Jamal Adams, the running back that ended up playing for the Eagles? Yeah, Jamal Adams ran for like 200 yards that day.
Josh Adams,
thank you. Josh Adams runs for over 200 yards against Temple that day. And I went into it knowing they were going to lose. I didn't think that they would get obliterated the way that they did, because this was still when Temple football was actually somewhat competitive.
When they were going to bowls every year.
Yes. But I went knowing they were going to lose, or expecting that they were going to lose, so that I could really enjoy being at Notre Dame. Because look, I drove out there to see Temple play. I drove out there because they were playing Notre Dame. My buddy was a big Notre Dame fan, so we drove out there. It was a ton of fun. Walking around campus, right? Like, I was in awe. They're playing the Fighting Irish song, like, on campus. Like, the band's in the middle of campus right before games. Like, I'll be honest. I understood.
Yeah, no.
That was the first time I understood. Like, all the people that had the Fighting Irish tattoo in the Philadelphia area that have never been there, I understood what it was like going there, and for the people that are Irish fans for life from that area. Totally get it.
Yes, that's part of why I'm debating doing. Now, I can guarantee you that September 14th home opener, Coastal Carolina, because now I have a family member who's going down to Coastal Carolina. I'm going to be in South Philadelphia for September 14th. So I'm right there with NBA Slam. That schedule drop yesterday meant quite a bit to me. I'm excited.
Cool. They have a 3-week home stretch.
Yeah, we're getting down there. You go almost every year to at least one game.
Yes.
Pat and I have made a tradition now. We're going to a game. So
I try to tailgate one game every single year. I do the whole thing.
Yeah. So Pat and I have made a tradition. Now Pat's got to stick to it.
Go to you, baby. Let's see. I'm happy. A lot of Flyers love coming in. Dan comes in with the Flyers. Shack Attack comes in with the Flyers. He also says the Phillies season. Connor checks in. He's excited to go to Clearwater in a couple of weeks with intentions of consuming every drop of alcohol in the area. That's going to be a task.
Our Connor?
No. Oh, Connor Marshall on social media.
Couldn't tell the difference on that. That request, I mean, did it sound outside of the normal possibilities?
No, it
said Connor.
You're right.
Thomas jumped to mind there.
It did not stand out. Or it would have made sense if it was.
Good for that Connor, though.
Yeah, good for that Connor. All right, so what are you most excited about in Philadelphia sports right now? If we're trying to go for a feel-good Friday sort of show, now that was what the plan was originally. That plan changed because Darius Slay and Steven Nelson were on a podcast together. Steven Nelson, former Eagle, he only played 1 year here. It was year one of Sirianni, year one of of Gannon, Jalen Hurts, and all that kind of stuff. They made the playoffs, lost in the first round of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But Steven Nelson was honest and said he wasn't built to play here. And they talked about how difficult it is to play here. And Darius Slay himself talked about how difficult it is to play here. He did mention what's not in the clip, because obviously things are only clipped for a certain amount of time on Twitter or because people have an agenda or something. Darius Slay did talk about how much he does love playing in Philadelphia, which I expected that. I'll be honest, I didn't listen to the whole podcast. I only heard the clip, and I was definitely upset the first time I heard it, but then I started thinking about it a little bit more, and I didn't even hear the rest of the clip, and I figured Darius Slay likes playing here, to which he did say he likes playing here in the podcast. He also tweeted about how much he loves playing here in Philadelphia. I mean, I think he is built for this city. Steven Nelson admits to us that he was not built for this city. So I don't hate everything that was said, but I also feel a certain type of way of how some things were said. When Darius Slay's complaining about Philly fans booing going into the locker room at halftime when they're losing, well, what do you want us to do? Like, I know myself, if I'm at a game and things are going well, I'm going to lose my voice that night. Ray and I, like morons, lost our voice after the Phillies beat the Braves in the NLDS again this year, this, Strider 2.0. And we came in here the next day without a voice left, and we have to talk for a living. Like, we were dumb for doing that. So I know how we can be just from my own experience when things are going really well. And that's something that's never mentioned by the likes of Darius Slay or Steven Nelson or any player that has ever played in Philadelphia for the most part. A lot of the times they don't talk about how great it is playing here because of how great we are when things are going great. When things are going bad, that's what sticks to them the most. And look, I also know from my own personal experience, when things have been bad in the past, I was a loud boo bird back when I was younger. I don't do it as much now, but when I was younger, my dad taught me the way of being a Philadelphia sports fan.
Fatherhood has changed you.
Yes, fatherhood's changed me. Me and Rocco, good buds now. Like, it made me, I was a nasty kid. I'll be honest with you. I was not nice. I said a lot of horrible things to athletes probably when I was younger. Right? Like, it's true. But there is a line, and I never went over the line. I wasn't doing death threats when I was 12.
It's good to know.
Not doing that. But I don't get it why it's always the negative. So we asked the question, do the comments by Darius Slay and Steven Nelson about Philadelphia fans make you want to boo louder or change? And here's the thing. The reason why I say the fans is because it is directed at you. You, the Phillies fans, are the ones that they are talking about. Not me, the sports radio guy, because right away somebody was coming after me as the show began when we were talking about it, saying, this is why athletes hate Philadelphia sports radio in town and how people hate Philadelphia sports. They didn't talk about the radio guys. This isn't A.J. Brown calling into a show. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is them talking about you, the athlete talking about you. So the jersey transplants checked in, Ray, in regards to the poll, which we have, do the comments of Darius Slay and Steven Nelson about Philadelphia make you want to boo louder or change? And 85% say boo louder, 15% say change. The jersey transplant checks in and says it's not like the booing is bringing Super Bowls, World Series, Stanley Cups, or NBA titles to Philly and clogging up our trophy cabinets. 4 titles in my 42-year lifetime. Sheesh. So he basically makes it out that we should change because we haven't had success being the way that we are. But I will say this. We have changed. The Super Bowl changed us. Some might say for the better, some might say for the worse. The Super Bowl has changed us. And we've seen successful seasons and a World Series appearance and another Super Bowl appearance, but do we really have that much sway? Like
if we do, we really better figure out how to make it work.
Right, because I feel like we've actually been probably overly nice recently. Like, we catch the heat more than the players do at this point, talking about them in a negative way at times. Like, if I am critical of Jalen Hurts for whatever reason, even though I still think he's a franchise quarterback, I get crushed because we can't harm our baby Jalen. But I do know that we have changed a little bit. It's not like we've seen title after title after title. Do we really have that much of an impact? Clearly we do if they're, athletes are talking about it on podcasts.
Well, we leave an impression. I think impression is different than impact.
Okay.
We leave an impression on them. I don't know if, our impact on them. Again, I said it, I think in the 10 o'clock hour. Like, I look up at Boston, and Boston is just as passionate, just as crazy, and in Jersey transplants 42 years of life, there might be a title for every year that he's lived.
Right.
Exactly. They've won when they've been that passionate. We just haven't. I wouldn't question the passion of the Kansas City Chiefs fans, and they keep winning. It's something. Now it's different. I think it's also a little bit different there than I like to say. The Northeast is probably the one that's built different. The Northeast in Chicago.
They're nicer in Kansas City, but they're a football hungry city. So I imagine if guys aren't playing well, they will probably let them hear it. Maybe not as much as we, but they'll probably let them hear it. Now, MPM Kelly checks in, and this is something I brought up earlier. And Kelly says depends on who makes the comments. For Slay, hell yeah, I'm booing more. Because it's not his first time talking about the fans. Now, that's an interesting one because I appreciate that he says it while still under contract. Because a lot of guys wait till they're gone to start talking about Philadelphia fans. He now said it twice in the span of, 3 months? It was right before the playoff game.
Bold strategy.
2 months.
It's a bold strategy from him.
But he backs it up. Now, the Autumn Wind 81 has checked it as well. He says the fact that this is even a question shows how this fan base has softened. Interesting.
Are we weak?
Maybe. All right, the conversation. Does Darius Slay make you want to boo louder, or does it want you to change? We actually did have a caller call in and say, look, I think we should be more accountable as a fan base. Do you agree with that? 610-632-0975. Coming up next. More calls, of course, and more reaction on social media to the question at hand of what are you most excited about right now in Philadelphia sports. If you want to call in with that as well, you can. I'm trying to turn the show into a positive conversation a little bit. That was the original plan about what you're most excited about in Philadelphia sports because there's like a million things. I'll come up with like a top 10 list during the commercial break of the things I'm most excited about. But I want to bring up a prediction I made at the beginning of this decade. I thought about this driving home. So I sent you that text, Ray, about the show of positivity today. And I'm just like thinking about what else to talk about. And then, your brain starts swimming. And I'm like, I made a prediction before this decade started. And let's revisit that. I'll tell you what it is next, right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A busy Friday night.
5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
It is 11:48 on the Midday Show. Major Sal Tunis, 97.5 The Fanatic. Well, I told you I was going to come up with the top 10 things I'm most excited about in Philadelphia sports. I can only come up with 9, if I'm being honest with you. I'm having trouble thinking of a 10. But I have 9. And one of them, we just got a taste of. So, my top 10 things I'm most excited about in Philadelphia sports. Number 1 was the NOLA post-contract extension season. So, like, this is year 1. There's no worries about a contract. I wonder how much that played a hand in the last year. I don't know. I'm not going to give him excuses, but maybe it did. We'll find out this year. Maybe the contract last year was on his mind too heavily, and when things are getting tough, he's heard so much about that contract, and, oh, my God, I keep on spiraling out of control. It's just going to make things worse and worse and worse for me. That's gone. Got the 7-year deal. Beautiful. I'm excited to watch Aaron Nola pitch this year. Post-contract extension. That's number 1. Flyers playoff hockey comes in at number 2. Now, there's an asterisk next to it because they have to make it. And that's still not a lock. But we'll see. And if they make the playoffs, not that I expect them to go to the Stanley Cup, but it'll be kind of like the Phillies 2 years ago when they made the playoffs finally. And, like, no matter what they did, they couldn't do anything wrong. Like, they made the playoffs finally, right? The Flyers will have that treatment. And if they win a series, we're going to go nuts here in this city. And I know what Flyers playoff hockey is like at the Wells Fargo Center, around the area. I love it when you're at a bar on a big game when it comes to the Flyers and everybody's wearing the orange and black. Like, I love that kind of stuff. I miss that. And it could be back this year. Number 3, Ray, Howie season. And we got a bit of news during the commercial break. Go ahead, hit it.
Now, breaking sports news from 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Per Adam Schefter, the Eagles are releasing safety Kevin Byard. Remember, the Eagles traded for him right before the deadline. It was like the week before the trade deadline. It was a 5th and 6th round pick. They also traded Terrell Edmonds. So, like, it wasn't like they gave up a whole bunch. He was horrible, which sucked because I was excited for him because I was excited for a professional safety. I also thought he would make Reed Blankenship's job a little bit easier because Reed Blankenship wasn't playing with Terrell Edmonds or Sidney Brown, right? He was playing with a former All-Pro, and I thought that was going to make Blankenship's job a lot easier because I'm not a big Blankenship guy, as you guys know. But I thought with a professional safety like Kevin Byard next to him, a former All-Pro, that would make him better as well, and I thought it would shore up the secondary a little bit. And he wasn't good. Jeff McClain, we had him on the day of that trade, I'm pretty sure. And he straight up said, yeah, just be careful. He's not the former All-Pro. He's not the All-Pro that we were accustomed to seeing. Like, he's taking a step back. And so he warned us about it. Also, like, Shaq
Leonard.
Shaq Leonard. I'm thinking Shaq Lawrence. Shaq Leonard, he was clearly cooked on the field last year.
You think?
My biggest beef with Kevin Byard was he looked like he made a few business decisions in the playoff game. And that rubbed me the wrong way. And I don't know if it's true, but it's just what it looked like from the naked eye. Watching the game, I saw him do a couple things where I was like, yeah, he's ready to go home. And, you know, he had a lot to talk about. He had a lot to say and never was really doing anything on the field well to say anything. But Kevin Byard released, and this is the beginning, right? Like, it's now Howie season, March 1st. You know, how many times have we seen the gif of the Undertaker popping up, right? It's usually like that for Bublé and Mariah come Christmas time, right?
I mean, Mariah, yeah, that's right.
That gif pops up a lot. It's Howie season, and he is woken up, and he already made one move, releasing Kevin Byard. I'm waiting to see the details of how much, cap space that saves and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure Schefter will put that out eventually. But not a surprise. I heard recently people were like, oh, well, maybe they might bring him back for a lesser deal. I don't want to see him back. I'm sorry. He was not good.
There's other avenues.
And he looked like he's done in the NFL. So Howie's season is number 3 on this list. I want to see what you think about the rest of it. I'll get to the phones in a second. And then I also got to tell you about this prediction I made at the beginning of the decade. And also, at some point this segment, I got to play you some audio. Maybe I'll save it for next segment. I'll tease it a little bit. So Nola post-contract season is number 1. Flyers playoff hockey with the asterisks because they have to make it is number 2. Howie's season is number 3. Number 4, Ray, is the idea of Embiid being back and healthy come playoff time. The idea, because he could come back, he just might not look good. But the idea of Joel Embiid coming back healthy, ready to go come playoff time. I know he said yesterday to the media that he expects to be back, and he will be back if he's healthy. If he's healthy, he's going to be back. So I'm excited for that. So the idea of Joel Embiid coming back and healthy for the playoffs is number 4. Number 5 is opening day. Simple. I love opening day. It's a freaking holiday. So number 5, opening day. Number 6, Harper and Turner all-star first halves. I expect them to be all-stars. Both Bryce Harper and Trey Turner. Harper's still yet to be an all-star in his time with the Phillies, which is crazy to think about. He's won an MVP. They've gone to the World Series. They've gone to the NLCS, but he's never been an all-star. Not that it matters all that much, but it would be pretty cool to see Bryce Harper finally wearing, the Phillies cap at an all-star game. And I think Trey Turner starts the season strong. So I go Harper and Turner all-star first halves. So that's number 6. Number 7, the first pro Hurts report, if we get one. So the first time somebody comes out in a podcast and is like over the top loving of Jalen Hurts, or, man, all his reports are nonsense. He's a great leader. Or Hurts himself speaking on some sort of show and talking about how things are going to be better and not just standard, main thing, right? Like we talked about like him going on like a Kay Adams kind of show where it's not a press conference. It's not microphones sticked in his face. It's him doing a Zoom with Kay Adams, and it's a nice, easy conversation. Obviously, she'll ask him about what went wrong last year, but then they open up a little bit, and maybe we see some life out of Jalen Hurts. So the first pro Jalen Hurts report, because I can't go anything like week 1. That's 6 months from now. I'm talking about right now. Number 8 is the Maxey game in the playoffs. He's never really had the chance. It's been Embiid with Harden. It's been Embiid with Simmons. This is the first year where Embiid might still drop 30, but maybe Maxey puts up 32 as well. So the first Maxey game in the playoffs. And then lastly, Tobias Harris's last game. Hopefully after an NBA title. You have a problem with any of those 9 that I gave you?
No, but I got a problem with something that just happened.
Uh-oh.
Now,
what?
Breaking sports news from 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
We got more?
Yeah, it's small news when it comes to impact on team from here on out because it was someone that we were pining for the other day. Muscala signing with the Oklahoma City Thunder for the rest of the season, according to Woj. And why are you so upset about that? Oklahoma City over us?
Yeah, man.
I mean, listen, they're having a fun season. It's not necessarily a shot at that team. But, man, when we justify to ourselves you can't get buyout guys, we've done the whole, Miami in February. Wouldn't you? Miami in March. Wouldn't you want that too? Okay, see?
Listen, he's picking a 41-18 team over a 33-25 team.
I know, man.
That's trending downward.
I know.
Not that I think...
Okay, see over me, though.
I don't know if the Moose thinks he's going to win a title. I don't know. Maybe playing time might be better in Oklahoma City than here in Philly.
Then right now?
I don't know.
We're going to play a ton.
Look, I'm sure his agent talked to all these teams and figured some stuff out.
Okay, see over me.
But hey, listen, he's going to that was the team he was with when he made the shot.
Yeah, I know.
He's going back home, man, to the bubble.
Oh.
When he made the shot. Yeah, no, it's disappointing. That is a disappointing news because it would have been nice to have had him and what he could do.
Fortify the front court, man.
Yep. Well, it's the Paul Reed show and Mo Bamba the rest of the way until Joel Embiid comes back.
Why are we doing this?
I mean, he did it to us. It's not like we didn't do anything. Unless maybe he heard the Darius Slay, Steven Nelson podcast today.
No, what if you heard Chris Paul? We played it yesterday.
Yeah, that's right. Chris Paul's a liar. Chris Paul says Daryl Morey's a liar, as well as James Harden saying that.
And Pat Bev. A lot of guards
maybe that's what it is. Maybe the Moose didn't want to come here because of the eel. How about that?
610.
610. By the way, Kevin Byer, John Clark tweeting this out. Kevin Byer would have counted $14 million against the salary cap, so that frees up some space for the Eagles to get some work.
It was
done.
the logical first step. That was the logical first step of this offseason.
It's hashtag Howie season, man.
Yes, and I am excited for that. Welcome. Welcome to the dark side. See, the first bit of news. Time out, because I knew you were going to victory lap.
Oh, yesterday you were.
Can you relax?
I don't want to have fun.
Can you relax for half a second? Can you please breathe? Can you please breathe? Okay, can you relax?
What?
I'm excited for Howie's season because if I'm not excited about Howie's season, then what do I have? I have to think about Nick Sirianni being the head coach of this team again.
Yeah, man, I got
to think about talent coming in here. So yeah. I'll be excited for it. I'm not going to tell you that it's better than last offseason, more compelling. I'd rather for me talking about, I can't wait to just getting every second closer to a Super Bowl contending season. I can't do that right now because I got to worry about the back of this defense. I got to worry about all these different armchair GM. You know what? Go play Madden.
Welcome to the dark side.
Go play Madden.
Welcome to the dark side.
I'm not on the dark side. I'm not on your side, okay? That was exciting. You mentioned the All-Star for Turner and Harper. That would be great.
That'd be great.
I'll take 50% of that.
By the way, Scott Kramer makes a good point. He did make the team, but he didn't play because of the injury. Blah blah blah.
Okay.
But I would like to see him wear the All-Star uniform.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
That would be wonderful. Let's see. Other things I'm excited for with this team. Yeah, the idea that Embiid gets back healthy, you mentioned. That was another one that I felt with that one. The Tobias game, I think I am more excited to watch it through your eyes. Honestly, I think I'm more excited for the Andrew Salchunas reaction to Tobias' final game as a 76.
So when the Sixers are one game away from elimination, you're going to watch the game with me just so that I can celebrate? Ooh. When the final buzzer sounds like, well, at least Tobias is done.
Yeah, you know what? We'll watch that game together. We'll get a watch party for it. Your friends at Corona can set it up. Man. The official cerveza of...
It's the Phila Cerveza. Period. The Phila Cerveza.
Phila Cerveza.
That's how it's.
See that they're your
labeled,
friends.
Man. They're my friends at Corona.
Yeah, so I look forward to that.
All right, let's go to the phones. Go to Chris on the cell. Chris, you're on the Fanatic.
Hey, thanks for getting me on, guys. I appreciate it.
Of course, Chris. Thanks for calling.
Look, I'm going to preface my first statement by saying I won't say anything you'll have to bleep me for. I'll clean it up.
Okay.
But no play Slay can kiss my rear end. You don't want to play here. If I were Jeffrey Lurie, I would have struck Howie to get rid of him.
Well, he never said he didn't want to play here. He was just complaining about the booze.
Here's the thing, dude. I go see games all over the country. I'm a national sales manager.
Okay.
Everybody boos when the team sucks.
Yes.
I have a lot of friends in Michigan, friends that have had season tickets for the Detroit Lions for decades. Believe me, they do. Now they got something to cheer for, right? So they're going to cheer. That's what fans do.
Yes.
So tell No Play Slay, who's overpaid and doesn't make any plays recently, to shut his pie hole and play football. If he doesn't like it, move. I can't stand athletes that want to tell the paying customer that they don't like them. That's like telling the CEO of the company, guess what, dude, I'm not doing your paperwork. Fire the guy. Get him out of my city. Go get a draft pick. I don't know. And that guy Byard they just got rid of, they should have known. This is why Howie's a dodo bird. Why did they take a fifth and a sixth for him? I'll tell you why. Because he was done. He was burnt.
All right, but
I agree with you.
Are you all that upset that you only gave up a fifth and a sixth? Like, it's worth a shot.
No, but here's what I'm saying. You were right on. That guy is soft, and he nailed it in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, he made. I look. He could tell me I'm wrong, but I watched that game and I saw some business decisions.
It was obvious.
Yeah.
It was obvious. He was not going to get hurt, and he knew he was getting out of town anyway. So he's going to get his.
Well, and you know what? That's a bigger problem with the Eagles, right? And I appreciate the call, Chris. If guys are in a playoff game not giving full effort, that might not just be a problem about the individual. That might be a problem about the organization at this point and the head coach. it might be a problem with the head coach.
Well, yeah, you don't believe that you're going anywhere, so, why am I going to bother?
Yeah.
I'll get paid somewhere else. Let's not get hurt here, Oh, man, he is not happy.
No, he was not happy. And again, that wasn't evil media. That was a Eagle fan saying that. Let me make that clear.
I will say something.
That was not somebody calling in that works for the station. That was a fan.
I will say something here. I would prefer Darius Slate be an Eagle to not be an Eagle.
Yes.
I know I'm going out on a limb. Hey, he wants him thrown out of town.
And I actually think he is still good. Now, the big play. I have not seen many of those.
No. I don't think no play is the nickname, but I do think the big play.
Well, he doesn't like being called Darius. He likes going by. He wants to go by Slay.
He might just be Slay right now.
I think he's just Slay.
He's just Slay.
He's not no play Slay.
Yeah.
Because he's actually been a good corner. His entire time here in Philadelphia, he's been a very good corner.
Somewhat solid Slay.
Yes. Well, which we don't have to do. We don't have to do the word vomit, right? Just Slay. But he does not deserve big play.
Well, you have to understand the other, Slay, obviously referring to the person, but then there's also the current usage of the word Slay.
Yeah.
So
correct.
So I think I like the giving a little bit more to Slay because when I just say Slay, it feels like I'm saying something else.
Well, all I know is he does not deserve big play right now. He doesn't. I think that's fair.
I think that's fair. I mean, we're not saying to get rid of him.
No.
We're telling him to move.
He doesn't deserve the big play.
Yeah. And again, I do think there was some kernels of truth in what he's saying. The more I listen to it, the less bothered by it I am. Honestly.
Except for the complaining about booing at halftime. Well, what do you want?
Yeah.
You want us to sit in our hands? Then if something good happens, I'm not applauding.
Well, you'd be sitting on your hands, so it'd be tough to applaud.
Well, I would not lift my ass up to applaud.
Yes.
I would just continue to sit on my hands.
Right.
That's my biggest beef. It's all right, look, I get it. You don't like getting booed. Well, it's what do you want us to do? Crickets? Anyways. All right, let's go to Tom in New Jersey. Tom, you're on the Fanatic.
Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing?
What's up, Tommy?
Hey, listen, man, what a great list that is. There was only a couple of things that I would, for my personal list.
You can have your own. This was my 9 things I'm most excited about in Philadelphia sports right now.
Absolutely. I would, for me personally, I would move Howie's season off of that because I don't really get excited for that until we start leading up to preseason just to see where all the pieces fall, see where everything goes. I'm like, all right, let him do his job. I'll get excited when we get what we get.
He's always working, man. He's always working. He already released Kevin Byard today, so that's why he's up there. That's why he's top 3.
Yeah, man, that was great. I was happy to hear that. You popped that in there, and I was like, all right, cool. I'll take that. For me, I love the Phil's Nola. I love Nola. I've loved Nola for a long. I love Nola even when he was. Nola's one of those pitchers where historically going up against another team's 1 and 2, he's the guy that will win you a game when you're only scoring 2 or 3 runs.
Mm-hmm.
I love that about him. Now, over his career, he's also given him crap run support, too.
Right.
His record could be a ton better because he's lost a ton of 1-2 run games. But I think that contract extension was a really smart move, and I'm very, very happy.
And I'm hoping, and part of this excitement is also hope and belief. I'm hoping that, now that the contract's done, he's settled in, right? I wonder if the upcoming contract extension was waning on him a little bit, and that's part of the reason why he struggled so much last year.
Certainly possible. I think there was talk midway through the season about some mechanics issues that he was working on.
Yeah, and they fixed it. But I wonder if the fixing of the mechanics, and thanks for the call, Tommy, I wonder if fixing the mechanics as well as the look, that's pressure. Look, not the biggest Tobias Harris fan either. He knows what the deal is. It's in the final year. If he's averaging 25 a game right now when Embiid's out, I don't think he gets a max contract from another team, but he may get paid more.
He's going to be the beneficiary of the fact that a lot of the guys that were supposed to be on the market are not.
Already off the market. I don't think he's going to get a max anywhere, but he might get a big payday if he were playing better. And I wonder, hey, that could be part of it, of his struggles right now. I'm going to tell you right now. So I don't know if you checked the 1:30 portion of the show sheet. I put down, let's create an SGP.
I did see this.
So, I don't know. It's a Friday night. It's one of these, like, I was away last week, so I was away. Didn't have access. And this week I wanted to get back into.
Oh, I see.
I didn't have access to some things. So I got a Friday night hoops game tonight, 7:00. Sixers hosting the Hornets. So I was thinking maybe we build a little Friday night. Like, again, today was supposed to be a Feel Good Friday kind of show until the Slade Nelson audio dropped. I was thinking maybe we do a little SGP action. And I'm telling you right now, let's see, where's he at? 17.5? Taking the over for Tobias. It's a bad Hornets team. JoJo had to talk with him. Tobias Harris has been open about his struggles. I think this is a Tobias overnight tonight.
The anger you were going to come in here with on Monday when we build a 10-leg parlay
It's the only one that doesn't hit
is going to be unbelievable.
Maybe I do the 15 plus instead of the over 17.5. Maybe we just do the 15 plus. We're going to build one later on. Because this is, I think this is a game they win. They're 11-point favorites. I might not go all the way 11 points. I don't know if you can do alternate spreads in basketball. I don't think you can, actually. But, this is a game where the Sixers should win. This is a feel-good game for a lot of people after tonight. For the Sixers. Not for us. It's the Hornets. We're going to say, wake me up when you beat somebody better. But
I'll be there. I'll be locked in. So they better win this game tonight.
Oh, yeah, you're going to be there.
Could you imagine the evening that I'm going to have if they don't win this game?
I can imagine it. You'd be very upset.
You'd be livid. I'd be very mad.
A lot of people will be mad. I'm sure some people will boo.
There might be. I'll be honest. If they go into halftime losing, I told you I'm not a big boo guy.
You might boo?
No. I will.
You're a paying customer. You're allowed to. You're not there with your media pass. You're there as a paying customer tonight.
I love the paying customer. It's one of my favorite lines.
You're a paying customer. You're allowed to do whatever you want, to an extent. As long as it's not something that can get you arrested, you're a paying customer.
Well, again, where the line's drawn, I would draw it a little bit further than the whole let's get arrested thing. There's a lot of things.
Don't lose your job. How's that?
I'm not going to lose. I will not lose my job there tonight. And I want to make it very clear. My conduct at games is squeaky clean, despite what has been presented about me over the last 24 hours.
You had a rough day.
Yeah.
On the best show ever yesterday, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. You'll get by it. You're young. All right. Coming up next. We made enough of an impact yesterday on the show, by the way. When the news came out that Dollar Dog Night was no more, we put enough of a stink out that there had to be a press conference. So coming up next, I will play you a clip from a press conference held by the Philadelphia Phillies in regards to the new promotional schedule and the removal of Dollar Dog Night. And they gave their reasoning why Dollar Dog Night was no more. So we'll play you that clip next. Also, I saw two interesting articles on ESPN.com this morning about free agency and in the NFL and some of the best players to go after, worst players to go after, where the market is for some players. And I just, it's an excuse to sort of do Howie season from our armchair GM side of things, right? Because it's something I'm excited about.
Yay.
Time to be armchair GM. I'm Andrew Sal Tunis. We'll do that next right here on the Midday Show, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic.
is 12:17, 97.5 The Fanatic. I'm Andrew Salchunas on the Midday Show. On a Fanatic Friday, Ray. Fanatic Fridays presented by Pumpman Philly for 24/7 emergency repair, pump replacement. Count on Pumpman Philly, the guys to know to fix your flow. And, of course, it is the 12 o'clock hour, which is brought to us by Service First Heating and Air Conditioning. Get 0% financing for 72 months and a $500 rebate when you purchase a complete heating and cooling system from Service First. Learn more at servicefirsthvac.com. All right, so I got to revisit this prediction, too. I forgot to get that to you. So here's what we're going to do this segment. I'm going to revisit my prediction from the beginning of the decade. I have two articles on ESPN that I found interesting about the offseason in the NFL. And we'll have some conversation regarding the players available in response to Bill Barnwell's article and your boy, the Schatz is checked back in from ESPN.
I love how everyone you despise is just my boy.
It's your boy.
Yeah.
But before I do all that, we made a bit of an impact yesterday, Ray. Yeah, our discourse about Dollar Dog Night and the Phillies spitting in the faces of Philadelphians. No. America. Yesterday. It struck a nerve, and we talked about it. And I really don't understand the high and mighty like anti-hot dog. Like, come on, man, it's Americana. Like what? Are you gonna punch Ben Franklin in the face? George Washington? Like, if George Washington offered you a hot dog, are you too millennial in 2024? You're smacking it out of his hand? Like, come on, man. It's George Washington we're talking about. Hot dogs. America. Red, white, blue, damn it. So the Phillies had to hold a press conference. And take a listen to the reasoning.
Obviously, the Phillies just made a modification to our Dollar Dogs, are now BOGO, Hatfield BOGO nights. You can buy 2 hot dogs and then 2 more, so you get a max of 4 hot dogs when you come up to the concession line. And that's been what it's been in the past. It's been, you could get 4 hot dogs at one time. And how much? It'll be, well, the hot dogs are $5. So you get 4 hot dogs for $10. We have the best fans in all of baseball. And unfortunately, last year there were, as usual, right? There's always, when something goes a little sideways, there's a couple hundred that ruin it for everybody. And unfortunately, we had fans throwing hot dogs, back and forth. And we just can't have that. There's going to be lines, but we're going to try our best to mitigate them. And hopefully with additional security and additional staffing, it just will be a better experience for our fans. That's our goal. And that's why we're making this slight change. Dollar Dog in the past was very, very successful. We're hopeful that the BOGO Hatfield Dollar Dogs will be just as successful and can live for a long time as well.
Oh, I'll tell you right now, I'm not buying a hot dog at Citizens Bank Park next year out of protest. You want to talk about spit in the face in America? I guess I am too. Because just hot dog, you eat a hot dog when you go to the ball game. Like that's plain and simple. But I'm going to turn it down because I need, this is my silent protest, right? Well, I guess it's not very silent if I'm talking about on the radio. But I'm protesting the hot dog, and I will not eat one at Citizens Bank Park next year. So sorry about that, I guess. But we got the real reason. It was the a-hole fans that were throwing the hot dogs. You ruined it. If you're listening right now and you're one of the people that threw the hot dogs, it could have been Ray, could not have been Ray. We're not sure yet. I mean,
really?
It's just what the streets are saying.
El Tu Brute?
It's just the streets. I'm just listening. It's just what I hear. For those of you who threw hot dogs, and you had such a good time last year doing it, you acted like a little kid, you ruined it. So shame on you. Shame on the Phillies, and shame on the fans for throwing hot dogs. And that's my statement.
Now, it seems like the Dollar Dogs have not left his mind, though. You listen to the end of the clip very carefully again.
We're hopeful that the BOGO Hatfield Dollar Dogs will be just...
BOGO Hatfield Dollar Dogs.
Yeah. I think you're reading too much into it.
I know I am, but it's our job here.
What I would read into it is, he says, we're hopeful. I hope that all of you, like me, go into protest, don't eat the hot dogs, anti-hot dog, no hot dogs next year at Citizens Bank Park. And maybe if the sales go down, they realize, oh, damn, we need to bring it back. That's what the point of a protest is, no?
No, absolutely. No, I'm protesting this.
So I'm protesting. I'm not eating a hot dog at Citizens Bank Park. I love Hatfield Dollar Dogs. I love Hatfield Franks. Not buying them.
I just didn't realize they went to $5. I thought they were $4.
No, it's $5 now. And so now it's 2 for $5, 4 for $10.
I can't do that.
And the sad thing is he's trying to make it sound like that's a good deal. Oh, well, if you get 4 hot dogs, it's $10. That's nothing.
I mean, compared to $5 on a regular night, I guess, yes. But in the grand scheme of life, when I look at the options,
4
they have
for
at the
10 is
ballpark.
more than 4 for 4.
Yeah, it is.
4 for 4, you're batting 1,000, baby.
4 for 4 was fantastic.
4 for 10, you're only hitting 400.
4 for 4 had me joyous. I was happy.
Yeah.
I'm not buying 4 for 10.
No,
I'm
not buying a hot dog next year. Citizens Bank Park. If you see me, I will give you permission. If I'm at the ballpark next year and I cave and I go, oh my God, need a hot dog. If you see me, I'm talking to all of you here. If you see me at Citizens Bank Park with a hot dog in hand, I give you permission to walk up and smack it out of my hand.
So
I give you permission.
I'm not giving the same permission, and here's the reason why. There is the sausage, pepper, and onions sandwich
Which is a solid item.
Which is a solid item, and for the price there, it's like
well
priced.
All right, they have to make sure that it's an actual hot dog.
Well, that's the thing. That's why I'm not giving permission, because I think somebody could see it. And, who knows what I said that week. I could have said something that really upset you, and you're going to take it out on me there. And you know how often I'm down there at the ballpark. Someone could knock it out of my hands, and I'll be honest with you, I might just see red if someone knocks because that's a great item.
Well,
the sausage, pepper, and onions.
Okay. You have to, you have to totally make sure that's a hot dog. I'm smack it out of my hand.
Context is not
You could come
taken.
you could come up to me and go, hey, Tunis, is that a hot dog? I go, oh, yeah. Smack it right out of my hand. Mustard and all.
You were thinking about this in a way that is way too civil for the event that you are provoking towards yourself.
All I'm saying is I'm protesting.
Yeah, no hot dogs.
I love the Phillies. I love the organization. I will continue to buy tickets. I will be there. This is not a don't go to the ballpark protest. This is a I'm not getting a hot dog protest.
Yeah, no hot dogs.
No hot dog.
No.
I'll eat a hot dog in my house.
Yeah, I mean, I might eat one in the parking lot.
Yes.
I mean, again, I'm really thinking about this roller thing.
Hey, look, when you set it up, you call me. I'll come to the game that night.
I'm really thinking about it, man.
You call me. I'll come to the game that night.
There's still going to be $1 for you, too, though.
That's fine. I'll pay you $2.
Well, you get 2 hot dogs.
That's good.
That's the whole point of the $1 dog.
All right, so before I get to this interesting article in ESPN, I was driving home yesterday from work, and my mind's always thinking about the show. And I remembered a prediction that I made at the beginning of the decade. Do you know what said prediction was?
The Roaring 20s.
Yes, which was turned by Anthony. But do you remember what the prediction was?
That we would get 4?
Not get. Get 2.
Oh, I get 2.
Get to 9 championships in 2020. Now, let's revisit where I was coming from. Okay? Wentz was still here. This is before all the crap happened. So it's like, all right, we got Wentz. This is the new norm. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Think about it. We're in the middle of the norm. And this was Wentz's first full season back. Foles was gone, right? Because 17-18, the Super Bowl. 18-19 was part Foles, then Wentz, then Foles again at the end, the Alshon drop.
Yep.
But then 19-20, Foles is gone. He's with Jacksonville now. Wentz had his first healthy training camp. They had the magical run, winning 4 straight at the end. He's throwing for 4,000 yards with Deontay Burnett and Greg Ward as his receivers. And I'm going, all right. They're going to shore up the offense a little bit. Doug's already a Super Bowl winning head coach. He knows what it takes. They're going to at least get back to 1 or 2 with this regime, right? It's appearances, not titles, not winning, appearances. So that's where I was coming from with the Eagles. With the Phillies, Harper's here. They've not won yet. They haven't made the playoffs yet, but Harper's here, and you know they're trending in the right direction, right? So if I'm trying to, I don't remember exactly how I broke it down, but I think I had the Eagles in 2 to 3 over a span of 10 years, which isn't out of the norm in football. As long as you're good. Look at the Chiefs. Look at the Patriots. Look at teams that haven't won, but they're in the Super Bowl. So it happened. The Rams have now been to 2. Won one, lost another one. And it's only in a span of a couple of years. So I had 2 or 3 with the Eagles. The Sixers I was very bullish on. I think I had 3 championship appearances. Once again, think back to where we're at with this. Simmons everything's still okay. That was the year they were the 1 seed. Or it was the year before. This is after the Kawhi shot. So the Kawhi shot happens. Remember, if they beat the Raptors, we think they win the title. We think they beat the Bucks because they match up well with Milwaukee. And then they beat the banged-up Warriors. And the Sixers win the title. So this is before the turn into the new decade. I think the Sixers could get to 3 titles. And then I had the Phillies in there. I had the Flyers get to 1 or 2. And now I do have the benefit of the Union. So the Union gave me 1. So far, as we are in the beginning of March of 2024, we're not at the midway point yet of the decade, but we're getting close. It's going to be 2025 before we know it, dude.
Don't tell me that.
We're going to be midway through this decade before you know it. We are at 3. 1 for the Eagles, 1 for the Phillies, and 1 for the Union. Now, I will tell you, because I'm always honest with you, about a year ago, I was like, for all you told me I was crazy, I'm already through 3, and we're only through 3 years. Now, a whole year goes by, and the Sixers are more the same. The Eagles are trending downward, it looks like. But the Phillies are still there, and the Flyers are trending upward. Is it still possible that they get to 9?
Of course.
5 teams, 6 more years. Now, this counts into 30, right? Like the Eagles, if they make the Super Bowl in the 29-30 season, that still counts. It's a carryover.
Would it have counted for you if it was the 2019 season into 2020? Because I feel like now you're adding 11 years.
Whatever works to my benefit.
Seems like the goalposts are moving here. But really, I think there's a chance. Absolutely. I still like your odds on this one. I would have liked it a lot better if, a team didn't.
If the Phillies made it to the World Series last year, we're at 4 appearances, and we're not even through 4 years of the decade. Now, unfortunately, they choked, and the Eagles, they kept on going in the right direction. We could have been at 5. I could have been over halfway there.
You would have been celebrating. Or, hey, you never know what the Sixers. But, hey, anyways, so.
Is there still a chance? I need 6 in 6 years.
Yeah, there's still a chance.
Okay.
I like it. I like your odds on this one. Obviously, it's tough to do what they do, but you got to think if you have a franchise quarterback, you got this core with the Phillies. You still have the reigning MVP, and you've got, the Union are trying to make it 7 years straight in the postseason. Flyers, you like the rebuild you mentioned earlier. Just get in, see what happens. If you had to break it down, though, if you had to break down the 6 you need, who do you think's getting you to the 6? Because that's really where this comes down. My mind goes straight to, okay, if we had to break this out, who's getting you there? Because it's nice to think in theory about this, but then I start adding up number of appearances, and we kind of need someone to go, dynasty mode.
I still think the Phillies have a chance. I do. Now, the only thing that sucks is I don't know how many times I can rely on upsetting the Braves and the Dodgers choking. Right? I don't know how many times I can rely on that because that's what's happened the last 2 years. And the Phillies themselves didn't get back to the World Series. 1, maybe 2 more with the Phillies. The Eagles are going to get back to a Super Bowl. They will. They have to. The offense is too talented. Howie's too good of a GM. I just don't know about the head coach. The beauty of the Eagles is, we want to talk about sitting on our hands, which has been a term that I've said a couple of times today because of Darius Slay and Steven Nelson. The Eagles won't wait. If they find out that Sirianni's not the guy, they'll move on. And we already seen Howie fix what we thought was going to be a rebuild into a retooling into a, hey, that was just a blip, we're fine, right in front of our eyes just 2 years ago. So I could see the Eagles getting back to 1. And then there's going to be a new era. So you would hope maybe they can get back to another one. Again, I got 6 years. Can they get to 2 Super Bowls? What do you think? They can get to 2 Super Bowls from now until the end of 2030 or into 2030.
So I liked your chances a lot more when I was just thinking about off the cuff.
But now that you're thinking about
breaking it down is difficult here.
I got 30 seasons. Got 5 teams. 6 years, 5 teams.
If Howie goes about it, if this goes like the Howie way, like following Doug Peterson, the way it ended, and instead of cutting bait, this year they cut bait next year, can I bank on the 2-year rebuild? But that would also be moving off the they've done the 2-year rebuild without the core when they get the rookie quarterback. So he can't do it while he's paying a quarterback. So they kind of got to hit like right now.
All right,
Otherwise, I can't bank on them.
Let's say 1.
What's it? Right now I have the Phillies with 2, the Eagles with 1. I'm going to blindly accept the Flyers as 1 by the end of this decade.
You're just going to go 1?
1.
I'm going 2.
You think they get to 2?
I think they get to 2 by the end of this decade.
I don't trust playoff hockey like that.
Okay.
I don't trust. They could have.
Hey, they could be that team this year. You never know.
They could be, and they could also rebuild this in a wonderful way, and we could be the team that's at the top of the conference. And yeah,
that's true. Sixers have to get the 1. They have to. I'm sorry. My life will not be fulfilled if Joel Embiid doesn't get to a final.
Somebody rip that clip right there. We're going to need that one at some point.
My life at the young age of 30 will not be fulfilled. I could have all the success in the world, all the treasures in the world. I could live till I'm 120 and I could still be spry and active and everything.
No way I make it to 120, man.
And if Joel Embiid doesn't make it to the finals, when I'm lying on my deathbed and they're saying, man, Andrew, you had a great run. 120. Cooper is a Hall of Fame baseball player.
Cooper himself is 90-something.
He's 90. He's still he's actually pitching in old-timers league at the age of 90. Cooper's doing great. Your wife, they have statues of her all over the place for all the great work she did in the healthcare system. You know, you're in the Sports Radio Hall of Fame. All right, you've done all this stuff. You did it, man. I'm sorry that it's almost over. As you close your eyes, I go, Embiid didn't win. And then the buzzer goes. That's how I will not be fulfilled.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that one.
I need Joel Embiid. I went through a freaking process. Lost basketball as a college student. And then you guys have all been here with me during all this.
Yeah,
I know I'm not living this alone. If Joel Embiid doesn't make a championship in my lifetime with the Sixers, my life will not be fulfilled. I'll tell Chrissy that tonight. Say, sorry, hon.
I mean, that's fine.
Too much is lying on him right now. The process, the Sixers, the tank, Hinkie, my life is on Joel Embiid making a championship.
Too much is on Joel Embiid. By the way, I'm putting all of my life fulfillment on you as well. Good luck.
Yeah, no pressure.
No pressure, Joel.
And Darius Slay's worried about getting booed. I'll put my life on Embiid. Come on, Darius. You think you got it tough?
Now, here we go. Because of the NBA this season and because of the union. Does the in-season tournament?
No, absolutely not. None of that counts. No, championships. Real championships. So I have Eagles 1, Phillies, Flyers both with 2, Sixers 1, Union 1. That's 6. No, that's 7. That's 7. I would get to 10.
Who do you have with 2?
Phillies and Flyers.
Phillies and Flyers.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm getting to 6 by giving the Phillies 2 and just banking on the rest of them pulling their weight for 1.
All right, let's see. Jake in Westchester wants to check in. What's up, Jake?
Hey, how you guys doing?
What's up, Jake?
Question for you. I know you said the in-season tournament doesn't count, but, over in Europe, they have all these other tournaments
sorry.
going on.
I'm in the U.S. of A.
I understand. So the U.S. has their version, right, where we play teams from Mexico and from South America. It's, all the best teams play each other in a bracket-style tournament.
Yes.
And the are in that right now. And some would say that might be a bigger trophy than winning the MLS.
That actually is 100% accurate. It would be a bigger deal. But no, I'm speaking strictly MLS Cup, NBA Finals, MLB World Series, Stanley Cup, and Super Bowl.
Sure. Yeah. I just wanted to bring that point up.
I appreciate it, Jake. But, yes, the Union MLS Cup counts, which is why they have 1, which is why I have 3, because the Union got to the Cup. I appreciate the call. But, no, I'm going strictly I'm putting my head in the sand, US of A, baby.
That's fine. I mean, listen, if you're not going to count the Union outside, or if you're not going to count the Sixers in-season tournament stuff, it's really hard to.
Well, okay, if I really want to, haven't the Phillies won the Grapefruit League 10 times?
Oh.
Look, I'm not counting that stuff. I'm counting the team's championship of their respective league that they play in.
You know what? That's my new goal for this month.
The Grapefruit League Finals.
My updates the rest of the month.
How many times have the Sixers won the Sixers won the
Vegas? They
Vegas
won once,
multiple.
right? Or was it twice? Maybe. I don't know.
blue coats. I got the blue coats going for me, too.
Blue coats, yeah. So there, I mean, you could throw that one in there.
No, I'm going to go.
But then we would have to start.
No, I'm going straight professional.
Yeah. Top league.
Top league.
Yeah.
All right. So, Bill, there's 2 articles on ESPN.com that I want to discuss a little bit with you. Do you want to go tiers or something specific to the Eagles first?
Go with the analytics guy first.
Aaron Schatz.
I just want to upset you first.
Shots. So Aaron Schatz, the only guy that didn't vote for Lamar Jackson to be MVP, and he voted him 3rd, by the way. Ridiculous. The Shots, he has the key free agent moves for all 32 teams. So he starts with the NFC East. For the Cowboys, this would be a good move. Oh, okay, I understand why. Kenny Moore II from the Colts, a corner, to Dallas, because Stephon Gilmore and Jordan Lewis are free agents. I didn't realize that Gilmore was only a 1-year deal. So Diggs will be back. Deron Bland was the guy that had all the interceptions for a touchdown. So he thinks they'll be in the cornerback market. For the Giants, Bryce Huff, which is a name that's been mentioned for the Eagles a lot. Even Jeff McClain brought it up the other day. But it would be a good move for the Giants because Huff goes on the other side of Kayvon Thibodeau. Now you have a decent little pass rush. For the Commanders, they have Brian Burns, another edge rusher. This one from Carolina. They need edge rushers, right? They got rid of Chase Young and they got rid of Montez Sweat. They need to redo their defensive line. I don't know if the Commanders really should be all that active, if I'm honest. They should just, I think, focus on the draft. But for the sake of the argument, you need a player for all these teams. For the Eagles, they have Levante David. Good linebacker from Tampa Bay. So here's what he says. Despite their late season collapse, the Eagles have to be considered contenders for 2024. Right off the bat, the Shots is pro-Eagles. There's not much difference between last season's offense and the offense that won the NFC 2 years ago, other than the potential retirement of Jason Kelce, which is why I keep on saying, as much as I want to do this whole patient approach to the defense, your window's still there because of the offense. If you focus on the defense this offseason, we might be back in a Super Bowl conversation at some point. Not yet. I'm not doing Super Bowl or bust talk this offseason. But we might get back there. Who knows? The differences are on defense, but that's all the more reason for a still strong veteran to sign up for a run with the Eagles. David would be a huge upgrade at weak side linebacker. He was tied for 5th last season with 33 defeats, a stat that adds tackles for loss, turnovers, and plays to prevent a conversion on 3rd and 4th down, which, look, if we're going deep dive in analytics, if you have a guy that can help make stops on 3rd and 4th down, that's something the Eagles desperately need. David is near the top of the league in this stat every year, and he has still great instincts at age 34. Now, that's the big thing. He's 34 years old, so how much is he going to cost you? How many years? I mean, it would not be – the Eagles are not going to sign him to a 5-year deal at the age of 34. But, 1, 2, 3-year deal, not 3, that's a bit much, but a 1 or 2 year deal for a guy that is still impactful at a position of need, because we also know that their drafting at linebacker hasn't been all that great. There's still questions with Nakobe Dean. Davion Taylor was a complete disaster. He's not even on a team anymore. So Levante David, thumbs up, thumbs down, Ray?
I'm worried how close you are to the cliff, but like you said, a
34 thing kind of freaks me out.
1-year deal. I mean, more. Am I going to turn my nose up at a linebacker after the linebacker play I watched this year? So, yeah, 1-year deal if he wants to.
It just sucks that he does a player for every single team, and we have a 34-year-old. Instead of the young, flashy guy coming off of his rookie contract, we got a 34-year-old. But
I'm all in for us to become big defeatsmen.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm all about the defeats.
Yeah.
The other linebacker that's been mentioned a lot is Frankie Louvu, who's all from Carolina. He has him going to the Broncos in this. So,
what a weird offseason Denver's going to have.
Yeah, we'll see about that. I mean, the whole Russell Wilson thing's strange. All right, so coming up next, I'll go through this tiers thing. So Bill Barnwell broke down running backs, running backs and linebackers. The tier of free agency. Oh, he also did quarterbacks and tight ends and offensive linemen. Not that we really need to worry about any of that. But the tiers of free agency for linebackers and running backs, which here in Philadelphia, I'm basically, speaking sex in your ear, right? If I'm talking about running backs and linebackers. So we'll do that. We're going to break down those tiers with Bill Barnwell next. 610-632-0975, the number to climb in to talk about anything on hand. We have the Darius Slay and Steven Nelson reaction to what they had to say. I'll update you on the poll. We have the things that you're most excited about in Philadelphia sports. I gave you a list of 9. Would love to hear from you on that and a whole lot more. 1 o'clock hour will be upon us before we know it on a Fanatic Friday. Nice. I'm Andrew Salchunas, the Midday Show, 97.5 Fanatic.
975thefanatic.com.
It is 12:48 on the Midday Show, 97.5 The Fanatic. I'm Andrew Salchunas on a Fanatic Friday, presented by Pumpman Philly for 24/7 emergency repair or pump replacement. Count on Pumpman Philly, the guys know to fix your flow. Now, see, I get a tweet. See, this puts me in a bad spot because I don't want to be, like, anti anything. But, you know, Ray talked about moving the goalposts for my prediction. My prediction at the beginning of the decade was that we would see 9 championship appearances in Philadelphia. And if I'm being in the spirit of honesty, it was the 4 teams. Phillies, Flyers, Eagles, Sixers. The Union obviously continued to grow here in the city of Philadelphia, partners of the station. So I added the Union as well. And look, the Union, I benefited from that. Because I did not have the Union in. I didn't add them after they made the championship, right? So 5. But now Jeremy checks in. He said we also have 2 lacrosse teams now with the Wings and the Water Dogs.
At some point we have to start adding championship appearances if we want to start adding all the teams.
Because the Water Dogs, didn't they make a championship?
They did. They lost.
Yeah, so that would put me at 4.
True Philadelphians.
And
feel more comfortable.
Yeah, but I don't. I'm sorry. I don't want to spit in the face of the lacrosse teams or the lacrosse organizations. It's just I don't know if I should start adding all these. I see Josh as the Philadelphia Stars. No, they're not allowed to be added because they don't even play in Philadelphia.
And they no longer exist.
Oh yeah, that's right. That league folded.
Well, no, it merged.
Thank you.
Let's not take a shot at spring football here. Yeah, I'll be tapped in. When does it start again?
No, you're not. It's such a joke. All you guys are liars.
It's the first week. I am there. I can tell you I will be there for the first week. Can I tell you I'll be there by week 8? No.
I don't think I should add the lacrosse teams because now if I do, here's the thing. If I start adding the lacrosse teams, the number 9 needs to increase to 12.
That's what I mean. We're going to have to start having inflation for your championship appearances.
And I gave 9 at the beginning of the decade on behalf of the 4 teams. I added the Union before they even made the championship. But I can't now start adding a bunch of teams. I'm sorry.
All right. So we got the St. Louis Battlehawks and the Michigan Panthers Saturday, March 30th at 4 o'clock.
Wow.
So
you enjoy yourself.
I will. Karen's back. Run it back, baby.
Yeah, no, don't watch. Just please don't watch. I don't want the league to be successful. I like The Rock. I want him to lose money. I don't.
What?
He's got billions.
Why do you want it not to be successful?
Dude, who's watching?
That's why it hasn't been successful.
Exactly.
Why are you rooting for the failure of it?
Because it's just unnecessary. Let's just focus on baseball, okay?
That's a great point, actually. That day, I'm definitely going to be at the ballpark. That's opening Saturday.
Yeah, I don't need spring football. It's stupid. Get rid of it.
Come on. Let people have a job.
I would rather watch the NBA in-season tournament than watch this spring football.
Of course, you'd rather do that. That's not a crazy take.
I think the in-season tournament's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. But the in-season tournament, I don't even know where to go with this conversation.
All right.
Forget.
We're moving on.
Back to the show sheet.
Okay, so a couple of tweets before I have another question for you. Because, again, this is a feel-good Friday. One of the questions I asked today was, what are you most excited about in Philadelphia sports? And we've gotten a lot of good answers, and the Flyers have been talked about a lot, which is fantastic. JoJo specifically says that the Flyers being ranked 6th for prospects in the Athletics. So I like that. Not only do they have some talent on the ice right now, but also the upcoming talent, Michkov, of course, big one. All right, we're all fired up. Owen Tippett, Rob checks in with, got the extension. That's great. So we got a lot of good Flyers. A lot of good Flyers love on the thing that they're most excited about. My 9, once again, is Nola post-contract season. Flyers playoff hockey with asterisks because they have to make it, obviously. Howie season. The idea Embiid is back and healthy for the playoffs. Opening day. Harper and Turner making the All-Star team, which I believe will be the case. The first pro Hurts report, if we ever get one. The Maxey game in the playoffs, and Tobias' last game with the Sixers. So coming up at 1:30, speaking of Tobias, we're going to build an SGP for tonight's game. And I believe that Tobias Harris will actually have a nice one tonight. I'm feeling good about Tobias.
kind of scary to see. Like
I
this
usually
with
no,
Tobias.
but to my credit, I'm usually pretty good with this. I'm pretty good with knowing when the wave will eventually change. And I think this is the night. It's a bad Hornets team. It's a Friday night at home. I think 15 plus, I'm going to put in the SGP. I don't have to go with the over 17.5.
Oh, what?
Fine.
You want the goalposts again here?
Fine. You want to go? Fine.
It's 17.5. You're asking the guy for 20 a night right now. It's the Hornets. If he doesn't get 17.5 per night,
Fine.
it's worse than us losing our money. We're going to be livid.
We're locking it in then. Over 17.5 points for Tobias Harris. That'll be when we start the SGP at 1:30. That and a Sixers victory will be in there, but I don't know if I want to go 11 points. But we'll talk about it. All right, so a question I have for you. So next week, I'm sorry to bring this up again, and I'm sorry that you're going to have to just kind of deal with it for 2 days. My bad. I tried.
Oh, yeah. I
tried.
appreciate it.
You know that I tried.
I know you tried. I appreciate it.
So I will be broadcasting from Bay Care Ballpark Monday and Tuesday in Clearwater. And Monday they'll be on the road in Dunedin, which is the town over. But I'm still going to talk to some players before they get on the bus to get over to Dunedin. And then Tuesday I'll be during the game. There's a game at 1:00. I'll be doing the show from the outfield right near Frenchie. So if you're heading to the game Tuesday of next week, stop on by, please. I would love to talk to you. So one of the things, it's going to be 8 hours of Phillies content, right? With the update of Joel Embiid thrown in there, because we might get it Tuesday, I think it was, that we'll potentially get an update from Woj. But for the most part, it's going to be basically 8 hours of Phillies content. So, Ray, I want to try to come up with what the biggest storylines will be for the Phillies, like going into, like, what are you most excited to watch this year? What are the things that you're most interested in this year? Because we need to figure out what we're going to be talking about for 8 hours. 8 hours of Philly. Now, you know me, I can just do it because I love the Phillies. It's my squad. But what are some of the biggest storylines? Now, I gave you in my 9 things that I'm most excited about, Harper and Turner being all-stars. So, like, I'm excited to see Bryce Harper at first base. You mentioned it, like, for the first time in a while, we're expecting a full season of Bryce Harper as long as everything goes well, knock on wood. Bryce Harper at first base. And I'm excited for Trey Turner now that year 2. How many times have we just talked about the money thing with Jalen Hurts not that long ago? That first year after getting paid is always a tough one for the athlete. All right, if that's the case, then Trey Turner should have a good start to the season this year. And that's something I'm excited for.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. I read something in the Inquirer, I think it was yesterday, also Alex Coffey. I've been loving the little, like, what are they doing, technicality, what are they working on type of thing. I think it's Dustin Lynn that's now in there, an assistant hitting coach. They're working on chase rate.
Okay.
Because Lynn, apparently, that was something that he was great with the Giants, and that their chase rate went down a considerable amount while he was out there. I saw in that, I think it was that same article, Kevin Long, they're in BP, they're not just throwing strikes. Right, yes. They were 95% strikes last year. That number is going down.
Yeah, making BP difficult for the players.
They looked at the Diamondback series and said, how can we adjust this? Turner was someone that was specifically mentioned in there because if there was something to, point to underlying of why, you'd be worried about Turner long term, that chase rate.
He was chasing a lot.
Was a lot for him, but it's also something that started to creep up over the last couple of years, and you wonder what exactly he's doing to compensate for that. So that's something when you mention that, like, you know me, I can attach myself to a good story, a positive storyline like nothing else. So I'll be happy to be excited about, Turner, we're getting a little old-timey Turner back. I don't have to think about the first 4 months being
That'd
away.
Be nice. So you asked me an interesting question. You were doing your fantasy baseball draft.
That's right.
And I don't even know what the context of the conversation. You just straight up asked me, what Phillies reliever should I draft?
Yeah, if you weren't going to take Alvarado, truthfully, I blanked on Hoffman there because Hoffman's the easy answer.
So Hoffman was my answer because of the usage, right?
Right.
And then I said to you, there is the potential bounce back season for Sir Anthony Dominguez. He was terrible last year. Hurt a lot. Terrible last year. You could not rely on him. The guy still has filthy stuff. Like, he's throwing upward to 100 miles an hour, right? He's 98, 99 on the gun and still has that wicked slider. He struggled. He couldn't find the zone last year, and then he had to just start throwing heaters down the middle of the plate, and he was getting rocked. It wasn't just that he was walking guys. Like, he would get rocked. That's something, like, for the Phillies, they will go as far as their bullpen lets them, which is basically any team at this point in Major League Baseball. You're not seeing horses going 7-8 innings anymore, right? We know that pretty well here in Philadelphia. It's guys going 5-6 innings, and then it's the bullpen doing the rest. Well, the Phillies last year, part of the reason why they struggled in the beginning and then kind of had that lull in the middle of the season before, June hit and Schwarber went off, was they were banged up with relievers, and they had to go to guys so much early on. Soto, like every single game, it seemed like Bilotti was pitching 2 innings every time he had to go out there, right? If guys can pitch well and be healthy, you still have a nasty bullpen, right? With the idea that Seranthony Dominguez might have a bounce-back season. Alvarado, we believe in. I love Gregory Soto. I just hope he's healthy and isn't overused. Hoffman, we saw what he was able to do and where he was able to do it in the playoffs the way that he did. This bullpen's pretty good, but a lot of it stems on Seranthony Dominguez if he can bounce back again this year.
Yeah, and I think that's a big piece, especially when you consider where you're looking at the back end of the bullpen, because Alvarado to me is more the fireman than the actual ninth inning guy. He's more getting you out of situations than closing down games. And even though they might not go with the named closer, Seranthony's the one that jumps to mind as, okay, this guy's got experience doing it. Is this someone that you would trust to have at the back end of that bullpen? Would he be the guy that closes out games? Because Kerkering, hey, great story, excited to see what he's got, but I don't know about that. Hoffman?
Yeah, like the Kerkering thing, I'm excited for him. It's just he's still very, very young.
Right, it's a lot to put on a guy of his age. Okay,
I think I'll be honest, I think the moment might have gotten to him last year in the playoffs. Now, I also know there's the story of the whole he's only thrown sliders or whatever the analytics were last year. I get it, but
limiting his arsenal in the biggest moment of his maybe not exactly conducive to success on that one.
Yeah.
But Seranthony slots in as a guy that you would expect to, late innings lock it down. I mean, again, he kind of comes to mind as one of the first options to close out games. Soto also comes to mind. Soto's an interesting case because if you look at last year, strikeout per 9 innings was actually up. His walk rate was down.
Which a lot of people were worried about his ability to get wild at times.
And that's like numbers, again, the ERA jumps from one year to the next, but other numbers for him were close to similar, if not better. So it's like, okay, where is he going to get this year? Is last year going to be more of an outlier, and we're actually going to get the Soto that has, the low 3s ERA that could be the big factor in the back of your bullpen? I'm excited for him because this question was based on, hey, fantasy baseball, and Soto was the one I ended up going with. I ended up going with Soto mostly because I think the holds and saves are going to be there for him at the back end of this bullpen versus some other guys, but also because the ratios are probably good for me this year.
Yeah, I mean, look, I know we're going deep dive into baseball talk right
Sorry.
now. We're going relievers here, but that's okay. Now there's the other stuff too. Like there's the big name players, right? So let's go. Chicks dig the long ball, right? The old saying.
Dude, I was so excited yesterday. The best show over the drive home. They're giving out their home run projections, and I was thinking about the first time I hear that bell go, and I was like, oh, it's so close. We're less than a month away.
I'm on FanDuel, my FanDuel Sportsbook app, and I'm trying to see the players from the Phillies that they have on here. It looks like they only have 3. So they have Harper, Schwarber, and Turner. Turner's over-under of home runs is 22.5. I'm going to say over.
Feels like a nice over.
I'm going to say over. I think he's in the 25 to 28 range. So I'm going to say over for Turner. Schwarber's over-under is 39.5. How can you not say over at this point? Unless he gets hurt, right?
Right.
Other than that, I mean, that's all he does.
Doesn't have to bother thinking about the field every day.
Right. And all he does is hit home runs. That's literally the only thing he does. He had 47 last year and 46 the year before that.
And he gets on base.
Yeah, he gets on base. Over. I think
over.
I think he has another 40 pieces.
Yeah, I think 40.
I just need 40.
45?
Just give me the 40.
I'm thinking 45.
Just hit the over for me.
45.
Now, Harper is an interesting one. Because, again, he's been dealing with the injury. He's had the shortened season. Let's see. The most home runs he's hit in a Phillies uniform, he hit 35 twice. His over-under is just 30.5. I feel like if healthy, that's got to be an over, right?
That has to be an over.
So, year one, he hits 35. Shortened season, he only hits 13. 35 the following year. That was the MVP season. And then the next 2 years, he's banged up. He hits 18. Like last year, we talked about his struggles with pop. He still had 21 home runs last year.
Yeah, because he found it at the end of the season.
Right. And he's a guy that if he gets hot, he just goes off. So I think all three Phillies on the FanDuel Sportsbook app are over.
Which might tell you a little bit how excited we are for this offense this year.
Well, as we should be.
Harper this season climb his way in the top 15 all-time Phillies home runs.
Yeah. It's kind of sad, actually.
He's going to pass Hoskins. Hoskins is 26 ahead of him.
It's kind of sad, actually.
He's going to pass Roland, probably. Lieberthal.
Yeah, I mean, that's just typical. All right. Let me see if I can... Is his name on here? There's the prop for the most RBIs. Do we put Bohm? No, Boehmer doesn't even pop up on here. Would you go Alec Bohm?
Then things I'm excited for. The week before the season, talking myself into him hitting 25 home runs.
I don't think it's ever gonna happen.
No, I don't think so either. But I'm gonna talk myself into it. He's my third baseman. Look at him. Look at the way he profiles. He's got to be a 25 home run guy.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
Yeah, profiles.
Listen, man, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna talk myself into it. I'm gonna feel it, and then I'm gonna watch him hit again, and I'm gonna get frustrated.
Yeah, probably. Unless he's hitting close to 300, and then you take it. You just kind of deal with it. I mean, that's who he is at this point. Like, I don't know if anybody's expecting much more out of Bohm. He improved his glove, and he drives in runs. Would I prefer to have a better player than Alec Bohm at third base? Yes, I'm not afraid to say it. But what he does is pretty good still. You just wish it was more.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're ever going to get more. So
one last storyline for you.
Yes.
While we're sitting here. Back into this rotation. Sanchez, how replicable it is for another season, the tweaks they've made to him, the adjustments that he's going to be going through. And then, hey, remember how much they paid Taijuan Walker?
Yeah.
Best fourth man in a rotation. It would be cool to see him have a nice season.
That's if they're also the 4 and 5. You still don't know. Snell's still a possibility. Montgomery's still a possibility.
That's right. They're going to take that extra hot dog money and they're going to put it right to that exactly. Montgomery contract.
It all comes back to the hot dogs. So yeah, let us know on social media if you want to the storyline heading into the 2024 season that you're going to be paying attention to the most for the Phillies. You know, there's the obvious ones like can Bryce Harper play like an MVP this year, but I'm also looking for the little ones like does JT Realmuto have some pop back this year? He talked about his deep dive into fixing his swing this offseason.
Hole in the swing.
Yeah, he found the hole in the swing, and he hits a home run his first at bat.
He's back.
That would be
Best
nice.
catcher in baseball. Forget Adley. Realmuto's back to take his crown.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll take it.
Did you watch Rushman at all?
No.
First home run.
No.
Mammoth shot. Then caught a runner stealing later. Yeah, it's still fun to watch.
Yeah, he's gonna be really good.
Awesome.
All right, so let me bring this up to you. We'll probably continue this into the next segment as well. But Bill Barnwell put out an interesting piece. He ranked the running backs and linebackers that are available this offseason, and he broke them into tiers. So, tier 1, he considers franchise players. Tier 2, Pro Bowl caliber starters. Tier 3 is capable starters. Tier 4, borderline starters to high-end backups. Tier 5, backups likely to net guaranteed money. And Tier 6, backups likely to earn roster spots. All right? You got all that? So you want to do running backs or linebackers first?
Let's do running backs. Why not?
All right. I don't think the Eagles are going to go after Saquon Barkley. But Saquon Barkley is in tier 1 of franchise players, and he's the only one. His average annual salary projection is $12 million, which, again, I don't think that's going to be the case. Pro Bowl caliber starters. So he is Derrick Henry on here, but he's also doing some speculation of possible cap casualties, in which he puts Aaron Jones, which would be an interesting piece with the Eagles. Like, if we're being honest, a guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield and can run the football well, he'd be a good fit. I just don't know what his salary. He says average projection of $9 million. I don't know if the Eagles would pay that kind of money, but Aaron Jones is actually a nice fit with the Eagles in terms of what they do.
Yeah, back just like him. Doesn't cost $9 million.
Yeah, well, exactly. He also has Nick Chubb on there, which I don't think the Eagles go after.
No,
but Nick Chubb's on there.
Both of them serious cap hits though.
Yes, $15.8 million for Chubb.
Jones 17.6.
Ooh, okay, that's probably. I don't see why they would do that. Tier 3 capable starters: Austin Eckler, Josh Jacobs, and DeAndre Swift. Possible cap casualties: Alvin Kamara, which I'm sure nobody would be against here. Again, guy that could do both, run the football and catch the ball out of the backfield. And also Joe Mixon, who might be released by the Bengals. Their average annual salary for all 5 of those players, he has $7 or $8 million. I still don't think the Eagles go there.
No.
It's just not what they do. I mean, their running backs over the last couple of years have been getting $2 million, if that. Tier 4, the borderline starters / high-end backups. Even this is probably out of their price range, which is $4 to $6 million average annual salary. They have Tony Pollard and Devin Singletary. And I know Pollard's been mentioned a lot with the Eagles because of his success with Kellen Moore, who's now the offensive coordinator of the team. Tier 5 might be getting closer to what the Eagles would be in. This is the average salary of $2 to $4 million. I'll give you the names next. Also, Tier 6, which is $1 to $2 million. Might get some guaranteed money, might not get guaranteed money. I'll give you the names because these are the names more so that I'm sure will be on the Eagles' radar. The guys that they can get for less money, the guys that don't not going to break big plays for you, right? Like Aaron Jones is still a big play running back, but if he's getting $9 million, the Eagles aren't going to go after that. Like everything you've seen out of the Eagles over the last couple of years tells you that they won't go after him. So I'll tell you what these names are in tiers 5 and 6 from Bill Barnwell that makes sense in terms of who the Eagles would go after, and we'll see what we think about it. 610-632-0975, the number to climb in to talk about any of our topics on hand. I'll like I always do, I'll tie the bow at the end of the show, everything that we got into, so your last chance to get in on this Fanatic Friday, which is presented by Pumpman Philly for 24/7 emergency repair, pump replacement. Count on Pumpman Philly, the guys to know to fix your flow. Also, as promised, we're going to build an SGP. It's a Friday night. And I think Tobias has a night tonight. Coming from a guy that's excited for the final day of Tobias Harris in his Sixers uniform. But I think the over hits tonight. So we're going to build an SGP in the next segment for a little fun Friday night of Sixers basketball. All right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
thefanatic.com.
It is 1:18, 97.5 The Fanatic. I'm Andrew Salchunas, 1 o'clock hour. Brought to us by Ferguson HVAC Line Conklin. Attention HVAC contractors. For equipment, parts, and supplies for every heating and cooling job, visit one of Ferguson's counter locations in Ben Salem, King of Prussia, Pennsauken, or Westchester today. Final segment for Ray and I on this lovely week. And the best show ever coming your way at 2 o'clock with Tyrone and Ricky and Jen. They're back there hard at work getting ready for their show. As Ricky will always say, so Ricky always walks in here like if it's Thursday. He'll always say, you only got 1 day left. And then I always say, well, you got 2. And then he gets upset. I'm like, well, I mean, you work the 2 to 6 shift. Like, what do you expect?
Yeah, it's one of those things, you know,
So
it's the truth,
he's gonna walk
but
in here.
sometimes you don't have to say it.
Yeah, he's going to walk in here and he's going to go, oh, you're on the weekend. Like, yeah. You got one more show and then you're on the weekend.
I guess
it's every day, dude.
I guess he's probably not weeping for us at 10 on Monday when he has yet to come in yet.
No, he's not weeping. Yeah, because his weekend continues.
Yeah, so he's
laughing out there. Yeah, his weekend goes till 2 o'clock on Monday. That's a good point, right? His weekend goes longer than ours.
That's a great point.
So our weekend might
make
start.
it.
Our weekend might start earlier, but his weekend goes later.
Yeah, you know what? Just for that,
he's always thinking about himself.
I'm going to go down to the local watering hole and watch them on television.
Yes.
And I'm going to raise one to you guys.
Yeah, you should have a beer and throw a hot dog at the screen while you're at it.
Why would I throw a hot dog?
Because you're apparently the guy that does it, according to that show.
Unbelievable. You know, it was unbelievable when yesterday, in between the shows, Jen walks in here. She's like, why are you throwing hot dogs? I'm like, really? Really? This is what we're doing?
It's like that. Here, play the press conference one more time for us, Ray. Was it Weber? Joe Weber, is that his name? Yeah, take a listen.
Obviously, the Phillies just made a modification to our dollar dogs, are now BOGO, Hatfield BOGO nights. You can buy 2 hot dogs and then 2 more, so you get a max of 4 hot dogs when you come up to the concession line. And that's been what it's been in the past. It's been, you could get 4 hot dogs at one time. And how much? It'll be, well, the hot dogs are $5. So you get 4 hot dogs for $10. We have the best fans in all of baseball. And unfortunately, last year there were, as usual, right? There's always, when something goes a little sideways, there's a couple hundred that ruin it for everybody. And unfortunately, we had fans throwing hot dogs, back and forth. And we just can't have that. There's going to be lines, but we're going to try our best to mitigate them. And hopefully with additional security and additional staffing, it just will be a better experience for our fans. That's our goal, and that's why we're making this slight change. Dollar Dog in the past was very, very successful. We're hopeful that the BOGO Hatfield Dollar Dogs will be just as successful and can live for a long time as well.
That's Senior Vice President of Ticket Operations and Projects, John Weber. Speaking specifically of you, Ray. Throwing the hot
Literally
dogs.
not of me. There is documented proof on our website that I was against it, that I was very clearly annoyed by it happening. And I was the prophet of saying this was what was going to happen. I'm not the only one that said it was going to happen.
You're right.
But it was literally, don't do it. You're going to ruin this for everyone. I will be upset. And guess what? You ruined it for everyone, and now I'm upset.
So I feel bad for John Weber. I don't know how many press conferences he's done. Notice when he got pressed about the price, you could hear his...
One of those, what do you want me to do about it?
Yeah, he's like, yeah, well, it's going to be 2 for $5 and 4 for $10. You could tell he was, a little shaken at that point. I wonder if they expected the backlash that they were going to get. I would guess that they did.
Yeah, I mean, you can only do business in this city for so long before you realize the backlash you're going to get for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's, we talk about getting it. I think they understand it. They're trying to make it more difficult to people to throw hot dogs.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I got to say, I don't understand why people do it in the beginning. I don't know if the extra $1.50 after you take away the Dollar Dog Night promotion
might stop people from doing it.
Right.
They might do it out of spite, or they follow my lead and just don't buy hot dogs.
I don't want to buy a hot dog at all.
No, I'm
all year.
No hot dogs this year.
I'm on a hot dog ban.
Yep.
Except in the parking lot.
In Citizens Bank Park.
Yes.
Specifically. I'll eat Dollar Dog at Wells Fargo Center, Dollar Dog Night, I'm in.
The Accor Center?
The Accor
Added
Center.
earlier this week?
I'm in. And not even Dollar. I'll go full price dog. I'm not even going full price dog at Citizens Bank Park this year.
So I'll be honest with you. The $5 now for a full price dog.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's too much for a full.
No, you're right.
I'll spend the extra $5 to get the sandwich.
or a beer.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. All right, so before I get to these tiers of running backs and linebackers that Bill Barnwell put together, I'm going to tell you a little rumor that will send shivers down your spine. This from Fish Sports. I don't know his first name. Mike Fisher. There you go. Mike Fisher covers the Cowboys. The Cowboys, according to Mike Fisher, are interested in Eagles star pass rusher Hassan Reddick.
Stop it.
He believes it would be hard to envision Philly having any interest in trading him to a divisional rival, especially the Dallas Cowboys.
Stop it. We're going to have Parsons and Reddick wreaking havoc.
That would suck.
On Hurts and then showing up to a Sixers game in Sixers jerseys the
Both
next
of them,
day.
yeah.
Yeah. Sitting courtside? No. No. You cannot.
I would rather the Eagles overpay for Hassan Reddick than let him go to the Cowboys.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd rather give him a lifetime deal. Anything but that. Anything but that.
Yeah, that would be a scary defensive front if he were to go to Dallas, like you said, with Parsons. That would not be so fun.
That would be horrid.
Yeah.
Even if take Parsons out of there. You're taking the one thing you have on defense and giving it to your biggest rival.
Yeah.
There's no way this gets done. I realize in my head there's no way this gets done.
Unless it's an Al Horford effect. Because remember, the Sixers took Horford away from the Celtics.
Yeah, but we're never that fortunate over here.
It didn't work.
No. Yeah, shivers down my spine is right. That's one way to describe. This actually might just be untethered rage. I'm livid that this is even a thing. How does this even... You don't even pick up that phone with Hassan Reddick. You don't even pick up that phone from the Cowboys for Hassan Reddick.
No. All right, one more thing before I get to these tiers. I just saw something pop up. It's probably because I read that was from an aggregate. I'm now reading another aggregate because now that's my everything's aggregate on my social media.
Ari, Dove.
Now this is JPA football.
Wow.
Shefty was on one of the Barstool shows with Big Cat and the PFT guy.
Part of my take is be the.
Is that the show? Okay,
Yeah.
part of my take. Shefty tells a story. I don't remember if this story's been out before, but my God, it must suck if they didn't want it. Not that it matters if it's out or not. A wild course of events in 2017. This is when the Niners had the second overall pick. Didn't do any homework on Patrick Mahomes. None. Didn't even look at any of his film. Nothing. Because they thought they were able to get Kirk Cousins. The 49ers ended up instead trading for Jimmy Garoppolo and trading up in the draft for C.J. Beathard. And the Chiefs got Mahomes, who, of course, has beaten the Niners twice in the Super Bowl. The craziest twist, when Beathard left in free agency, the Niners got a seventh-round comp, which they got Brock Purdy out of it. I don't think that's really the craziest thing. I think the craziest thing is that they didn't even look at Patrick Mahomes. So this shows, A, how much of a genius Andy Reid is, and B, how the 49ers will forever just be a quarterback away. They're always going to be a quarterback away.
So I'm pretty sure Shefty told this story Super Bowl day. I want to say it came out at some
the
point.
aggregate's just getting it out there now to get some more clicks.
Or he went on part of my take, and that was part of the conversation. They're like, wow, tell us a little bit more about this story you said about maybe it's coming at now. Because I remember seeing it and be like, how could you not have done any homework? And it's like, oh, well, they had this one great plan. It's like, all right, yeah. I could see how you have some great plan. You know, this Mahomes guy was even going to be in the NFL. I mean, other teams passed on him. But to not do your homework on the guy?
Yeah, you got to do your homework.
I mean,
on every quarterback. On every quarterback that's on the board that's a first-round grade, you got to do your quarterback on it.
It's bad. Very bad. I also saw Pro Football Talk saying they spent 10 minutes with Caleb Williams, and now he's the greatest thing that's ever happened.
Of course he is, because he spent time with them.
Yeah, so I think it's over for you Lions, Packers, and Vikings fans, because the Bears are going to take him. And then what are the Bears good? Talk about intriguing off seasons?
Yeah, that's an intriguing one. But that's even worse, because now they're building. We at least are close to a title still. See? We have the best one. We're not Super Bowl or bust. Team's still good, but they need to make moves, and we can play armchair GM.
You keep saying this Super Bowl or bust.
This is the best offseason to be a part of. More on this report about Dallas. quote, the Cowboys investigating ways to acquire Reddick is real. That would suck big time if that were to happen.
I would become a shell myself. I don't know how I would mentally deal with that.
All right. Well, there's
that's horrible. How could it even?
There's the latest.
How can you even make that real? Why would you make that? Why pick up the phone?
It's real.
You are so committed to not keeping the most talented player on your defense that you are having real conversations with your biggest rival to make them better.
Taking the calls, man. They're taking the calls.
You collapsed
take your calls.
pathetically.
Yeah. Look.
And let that team win the division because you stunk.
And you're gonna let them get better. But you might get some picks out of it, right?
Oh, yeah, might get some picks out of it. Oh, I'm so excited. Let's go draft another lineman from Georgia. I'm sure he'll take Hassan Reddick's job. Maybe he can become Hassan Reddick. You have Hassan Reddick right now.
Yes. Yeah, sometimes proven versus the unknown is better. All right, before we do this SGP, so tiers 5 and 6 from Bill Barnwell, the available running backs, and then we'll do the linebackers too. So tier 5, he labels them as the backups likely to net guaranteed money. And their average annual salary will be between $2 to $4 million. The names on here: A.J. Dillon, Gus Edwards, Zeke, which I have zero interest in, and not just the Cowboys thing. Like, he's just cooked. I know he had a couple decent games in New England at the end, but he's cooked. Antonio Gibson's an interesting one. And Zach Moss, which is the name when we ran that poll the other day on the Midday account. The 4 names that CBS linked the Eagles to was Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler, DeAndre Swift, and Zach Moss. Zach Moss only got 5% of the vote, and we were 2 of them. We were 2 of the 5%. Because Zach Moss, I think, actually makes sense with this Eagles team because he's not going to cost you all that much, and he does everything that this Eagles football team would want. Antonio Gibson's an interesting name, too, though. Coming out of college, he was the guy that was supposed to be the jack of all trades. But obviously took a step back with the Commanders. But he's still a guy that can run the football and catch the ball in the backfield. That's an interesting name to keep an eye on. But, I mean, those are the names that we're talking about here that the Eagles might be in on if they go after somebody in free agency and not trade for a guy in the final year of his deal. But the free agents in that tier that makes sense with the Eagles are A.J. Dillon, Gus Edwards, Zeke, Antonio Gibson, and Zach Moss. The final tier was backups likely to earn roster spots. I mean, we're going far down. I mean, these are basically backups to Kenneth Gainwell, I would think, which I can't go into the season with Kenneth Gainwell as my number 1 back.
This is the guy that we're going to be saying, why is he inactive on game day?
Yeah, pretty much. Matt Breida, J.K. Dobbins, which is an interesting one coming off of the injury. I mean, that's more of a risk, I guess, or like low risk, high reward potential. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Dante Foreman, no. Damian Harris from the Bills, no. Dearness Johnson. Alexander Madison just got released by the Vikings. Jerick McKinnon, always a nice guy to have on your team, but he's Boston Scott, pretty much. Like maybe a more reliable Boston Scott.
It's interesting you dismissed the Deontay Foreman right there. I wouldn't be...
You'd be interested?
Wouldn't be against that. Again, last year not great with the Bears, but it's the Bears.
Right, that's a good point.
It was 2 years ago with the Panthers. You're just under 1,000 yards. 4.5 yards a carry. I'm not telling you he's winning you a Super Bowl. Okay. I'd be intrigued if we're talking about next to no money and betting on upside.
All right.
Hey, man.
Well, yeah, if you're betting on upside. But I can't go into the season with my 2-headed monster of Kenneth Gainwell and Dante Foreman.
I kind of assume that this is in complementary with someone else coming in. Like, I don't imagine it's just going to be Foreman.
No, it's Gainwell and Scott.
Well, they got to bring Scott back.
Dude, they love Kenneth Gainwell. They're not moving. Like, Kenneth Gainwell's your number 2 back.
Boston Scott.
Right. But I'm saying Kenneth Gainwell. Look,
oh, yeah.
Boston Scott,
Gainwell's here.
Boston Scott plays 6 seconds. Forget Boston Scott for a second. It's going to be Gainwell as the number 2 and a guy that they use probably too much. Unless Kellen Moore doesn't. I mean, he has full control of the offense, apparently. By the way, the other running back was Cordero Patterson. No. Possible cap casualties. He has Naheem Hines of the Bills and Samaje Perine of the Broncos. But
woohoo.
These are all Boston Scotts, pretty much. Which, look, you could replace Boston Scott. He doesn't have to be here forever. Doesn't have to be.
Isn't he one of the ones recruiting L'Jarius Sneed?
Yeah, but so is Milton Williams.
I don't know, man. Listen, how much is it worth to you?
That's a good point. All right. So then linebackers. Same tiers. Franchise players, tier 1. Pro Bowl calibers 2. Capable starters is 3. Borderline starters / high-end backups is 4. Backups likely to net guaranteed money is 5. And backups likely to earn roster spots is 6. So tier 1, franchise players, the answer, Ray, none. He literally says nobody. There's not a single player that is considered a franchise player that's available via free agency. He is Patrick Queen as a Pro Bowl caliber starter. So he doesn't have him as a franchise player, but he has him in tier 2, franchise caliber player. His net average annual salary is $16 to $18 million. That is just something the Eagles don't do. Hell, they didn't want to bring back T.J. Edwards for what, 8? Now, I know Patrick Queen's a better linebacker than T.J. Edwards, but they didn't want to bring back somebody for 8. Johnny DeKay's all Patrick Queened up. I've heard a lot of Eagles fans want Patrick Queen, but they're not going to do it. $16 to $18 million. They're not going to do it.
Pass.
He's a great player.
Yeah.
I would take him.
16 to 18, though.
They're not going to do it. The capable starters, which is 7 to 10. Again, they didn't want to bring in T.J. Edwards for 8.
Which is what we're going to start getting down these tiers. We're going to start getting upset with what we're going to end up with.
So this is the 7 to 10 range. Capable starters. Jordan Brooks from the Seahawks. Levante David from the Bucks, which the Shats, he has the Eagles going after Levante David. But we're talking to 7 to 10 million for a guy that's 34 years old. Not something the Eagles are going to do.
If he breaks down on that deal, they will never spend another dime on a linebacker again.
Willie Gay is on here. Jordan Hicks, but who knows? Josie Jewell from the Broncos. Now, here are some names that I'd be interested in. Frankie Louvu was a guy that I was interested in when that name first. I forget who put out that article. It might have been T-Mac for all I know. But they did right after the season ended, the player that these teams might target. And they had Frankie Louvu on there for the Eagles. And that's a name that's interesting to me. He's younger. He's talented. $7 to $10 million. If you're trying to make a splash at linebacker, that's a name to look at. Andrew Van Ginkel is another name from the Dolphins. So I have interest there. Devin White from the Buccaneers. I would love Devin White. I don't know if he leaves Tampa. He's been there for a while now. I don't know if he leaves Tampa. And then lastly, Bobby Wagner. I mean, that's more of a culture. I mean, how old? He's got to be mid-30s.
He's actually 33.
He's 33. Turns 34 in June, though. So, he'll be 34 before the season even starts.
He's a Levante territory for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd rather go Louvu and Ginkel and White before I go David and Wagner.
Van Ginkel is going to be the name I think that this town attaches to. Oh, he's with the Dolphins. Look what he did last year with Fangio.
With Vic Fangio.
I have a feeling that's where this town is going to. If I had to guess the tenor of the town when we get closer to this, Van Ginkel feels like the name that'll start picking up steam.
Okay. They also have, as a potential cap casualty, if we're sticking with the Lions, Jerome Baker. He missed some time last year. He was having a hell of a season before he got hurt. So that's another guy to potentially look at. But again, this is $7 to $10 million. Is that something that the Eagles do at linebacker? No, they don't, but they may realize they need to, so we'll see. The next one is borderline starters / high-end backups. And this is $3 to $5 million. This is basically where Howie feasts. This is a splurge, actually. Sorry. He treats himself. $3 to $5 million. Azeez Al-Shaair from the Titans. Anthony Jennings from the Patriots. Denzel Perryman from the Texans. And that's Sion Takitaki from the Browns, who infamously did the pick 6 against Carson Wentz. That was the one where Wentz just threw it to nobody.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the only one where that.
So that was the game I was done with Wentz, the Browns game. He didn't get benched for another 2 weeks, I'm pretty sure. But, that was the game where I was like, all right, dude, enough is enough. You can't play this guy anymore, that Browns game. And then the possible cap casualties, Devondre Campbell from the Packers, Cole Holcomb from the Steelers, and Eric Kendricks, not Hendricks, Eric Kendricks from the Chargers. This is where Howie shops. The Tier 5 backups likely to net guaranteed money, $1.5 to $3 million. So you said these are the names where you end up getting upset. Cody Barton from the Commanders. Devin Bush, he's a nice player. Devin Bush from the Seahawks. Zach Cunningham pops up again, which I wouldn't be surprised if he's back. Terrell Dodson from the Bills. Shaq Leonard. You can't do that. Can't do it. Kenneth Murray from the Chargers. Isaiah Simmons from the Giants. Drew Tranquil from the Chiefs. Anthony Walker from the Browns. Mack Wilson from the Patriots. Mark my words, Howie gets one of those guys.
Did you read the write-up on your best Cunningham in Eagles history?
No. What was the write-up?
Cunningham and Leonard are two former AFC South standouts who failed to impress in Philadelphia. Cunningham might have been the Eagles' best linebacker when healthy, which is some of the faintest praise you will ever read.
Yeah. It's the greatest Cunningham in Eagles franchise history, man. It's incredible. He was more important. I can make the case that Zach Cunningham. No, sorry.
We don't do hot take radio.
No, we don't. We don't. Even though the defense carried those teams. I'm sorry. Tier 6.
Oh, boy.
Donovan McNabb's my childhood quarterback.
6-1-0.
Tier 6, backups likely to earn roster spots. The average annual salary of $1 million. This is another. This is where I see a name on here I'm interested in.
I bet it's the name I see.
So there's Quan Alexander from the Steelers, Oren Burks from the Niners, Malik Harrison, Nicholas Moreau, of course, Kaliki Hudson from the Commanders, Josh Woods from the Cardinals. How about a return of Camus? KGH, man. Camus Grugier Hill.
Zach Ertz was just at his wedding. I saw the pictures on my timeline. Right? Everyone's favorite birds getting back together.
I love how they have on here an emergency kicker. Remember, he kicked for the Eagles.
I remember.
So there's your 6 tiers at linebacker. I imagine tier 4 and 5 is where Howie will live, but maybe he goes for one splash. You have to sign 3 linebackers. Or 2 and draft 1. You have to. You only have 1 starter on the roster right now in the Kobe Dean. And that's if they believe in him, which I know Howie Roseman praised him in the press conference, but you have 1 starting linebacker. So you need to get probably a splash. Like, you probably need to do a tier 3 linebacker where you're paying $7 to $10 million.
I'm trying to think. The plan last year was Dean, Morrow,
Miles Jack.
Well, no, those were mid camp. Jack was mid camp. Cunningham was mid camp.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, I'm trying to think. They only ended up keeping 3 on the active roster. I know the 69-man roster.
Well, Morrow wasn't supposed to be. I'm pretty sure Cunningham and Jack were already beating him out, and then Jack retired.
No, Morrow didn't make the.
No, he didn't. Yeah, you're right. He didn't make it because they had, Christian Ellis was there. The guys that were also playing on the special teams. Yeah, he didn't even. I don't think he was on week 1 roster.
No, he wasn't because he got called up because it was the whole. He's got the green dot now, and he wasn't even on the roster.
And he was part of your beginning of the season plans, preseason plans. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, they need to draft 1, sign 1, sign 2, draft 1.
And maybe sign 1 for decent money.
But sorry. Sign 1 to me is like splash sign 1.
Yes.
Because they're going to end up filling. I don't want 2 tier 6 guys. And that's the plan. We'll draft 1 just to appease you guys. All
right. I'll be interested because they're going to do this for all the positions. They also did quarterback and offensive lineman, which obviously we're not going to focus on because we're good there. I'll be interested when he does safety to see what he has out there. Because the Eagles needed safety. I mean, they have 1 starting safety. They have Reed Blankenship, and that's if you believe in Reed Blankenship, which I don't. To me, I don't look at the Eagles roster and see a starting safety.
I don't know if they have a starter.
Because Sidney Brown's hurt. I believe Sidney Brown will be a starting safety when he comes back. I still think he has a lot to learn. I saw him take some horrible routes at trying to make tackles. Or angles. Just terrible angles at trying to make tackles. Athletic as can be. That pick 6 showed his athleticism, but he needs to learn how to play football at a professional level.
Yeah, I think he's a future starter. I think he can be.
Okay, I agree with you.
I will say they don't have a healthy starter.
All right,
in the back end right now, and at linebacker or at safety.
Yeah, I think that's fair because I don't believe in the Kobe Dean. He hasn't done anything for me to believe in him.
Right.
So yeah, It's hashtag Howie season, man. It's really incredible. All right, let's have some fun before we get out of here. So we have Sixers basketball tonight. And I told you, I wanted the vibes to be good in this show today. All right, because I know we tried. The podcast didn't help.
No, yesterday, again, for the people that don't know, yesterday, literally within an hour of the show ending, Andrew sent the text of this. We're going to have a feel-good Friday.
I wanted to have like a positive show today, and then the Darius Slay and Steven Nelson podcast comes out. Directed at you, by the way, the fans, not at the evil media.
The way you said you, I thought you were attacking me. I looked up. I was like, me again?
No, directed at the fans. And we ran a poll. Do the comments by Darius Slay and Steven Nelson about Philadelphia fans make you want to boo louder or change? And 82% say boo louder. Oof. So that's good. So it tells you the relationship with Darius Slay and the Eagles right now. Only 18% say change as a fan base. We've had some nice callers talk about like wanting to change a little bit, but we'll see if that ever happens. Brendan Casey checked into the poll saying, I'd pull a complete mind bleep on them. I'd boo as loud as I could when they did well and cheer when they played poorly. That's how you really separate the mentally tough players. I don't think we could handle that. I think that's too much.
That's too much.
Yeah,
you're too deep. All right, listen, we got to organize. Lots to organize here.
Yeah. All right, so I want to build an SGP for the Sixers game tonight. And the reason why I wanted to do it, if I'm sticking with the spirit of a feel-good Friday, I'm taking the over Tobias Harris's points. Now, I find this interesting. The odds have shifted. Somebody's listening to the show.
Of course. Yeah.
It's still 17.5, but the over was minus like 104. Now it's minus 112.
Your friends. They're always listening.
My friends at FanDuel Sportsbook. Enter promo code Fanatic. So I'm going to go the over 17.5 for Tobias Harris. I told you that was the first leg that I was going to put into the SGP. So it's locked in. I think Tobias has a nice night. 6+ rebounds. Bang. Put that in there.
I went over 6.5, so that's good.
Okay. Now the question is, Tobias Harris, 2+ threes.
Oh, man, now we're getting greedy.
Is plus 130. Plus money for him to make 2 threes.
You were going to hate him so much on Monday.
I'm locking that one in as well. So I have 3 legs already, and it's all Tobias Harris. Over 17.5, 6+ rebounds, and 2+ made threes. The Tobias Harris same game parlay, $10 already gets you 31. Just Tobias, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What else are you looking at for today's game? I mean, this is a slop game. There's no defense in this one.
Buddy Hield, 3+ made threes.
3+ made threes for Buddy Hield. Okay. We'll lock that one in. I could imagine the same for Maxey. Yes, no? All right, I'm not putting it in. I didn't like your response.
I don't. It's not that it's nothing against his shooting. It's just the attention that he will continue to garner.
What, because he's getting better?
Well, because who else are you going after?
All right, so let's see here.
Oh, this is a nice. Now, this is not a feel-good stat that Josh just put up.
I don't care.
I'm not looking at it.
You can look at it. Tobias Harris has not made 2+ threes in a winning effort since January 16th against the Nuggets, 15 games ago. I told you, I'm usually good with the tide changing. I think the tide changes today. Doesn't have to be for a 10-game streak of Tobias Harris. I just think he has a good game today.
Glad you do.
If Hield and Harris are scoring, Maxey's assists. 6+ assists? Yes, no?
I'll go.
He averages 6 a game this year.
His over/under is 6.5.
Oh, I'm going to give myself the benefit, and I'll go.
I'm
just
going with
the
more
6.
the juice. Okay. So, if you get 6, just send me a text. Check in on me.
Would I ever put Paul Reed in my SGP?
You? It's a feel-good Friday.
8+ rebounds for Paul Reed. B-ball Paul. A lot of shooting in this game. No defense.
Is there a fouls prop I can find?
I wish, because he would get it. All right, let's see. Let's look at some of the other threes.
So you're saying no defense. The over-under for this game is 214.
So the over.
You want to do the over?
214. Yeah, I can see both teams getting in the 100.
Okay.
And then I just got to get a little bit more. All right, we'll go with the over. All right, so $10 bet right now. The 3 from Harris, over points, 6+ rebounds, and 2+ made threes. Buddy's 3+ threes. Maxey 6 assists. Paul Reed 8 rebounds. Over 214. A $10 bet gets you 235.
Sorry, I missed the Paul Reed rebounds were officially added.
I added it in there.
Listen, I'm going to get to it.
It's a feel good Friday. Man.
Yeah, it's feel good Friday. Yeah, well, if you're not a coward and you just went with the over 6.5s instead of the 6+, $10 wins you $380.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We also haven't done anything with the result. We're just gonna tap a money line on there.
Yeah, but it's -5 something. So no point.
Push me over 400 for winnings.
All right, then go for it. I don't want to go minus. The Sixers aren't playing good enough basketball.
I'm not going to -11. No. But the -590.
Okay.
There's a reason to finally do the money line here. But -590, there's not a lot of reasons to go money line. If I can add a little juice there, I'm going to.
All right.
It's 8 legs here.
See now I gotta who are the role players that are gonna help out today?
All of them. It's gonna be a huge game.
Is Buddy scoring 15+ points? It's -105. What's his actual point total? Yeah, let me do that. Let me go to the actual point totals here. He's at 14.5. Take the over for that one.
Okay.
Why are you so upset?
Not upset.
Anybody score for? You gotta give somebody to Charlotte.
No, we don't.
Yes, you do. Somebody's gonna score.
Screw 'em. I don't care.
Somebody has
not
to
here
score.
for Charlotte.
Somebody has to score.
I'm here for the 76ers. This is bad juju. Remember the last time we put an opposing team into a parlay?
No.
I'm pretty sure it was the Diamondback series.
Was it?
I don't know if it was. It's a feel fact there. There was something bad that happened. I remember we were called mushes for putting another team into the parlay.
All right, Brandon Miller chucks up a bunch of threes. His over-under's 2.5. Maybe I'll just do the 2+ threes.
Nah, you can do that on your own.
All right, well, that's going to do it.
Forget Charlotte. I'll be in your airport this weekend.
Okay, well, if I just do the 8, Harris, Buddy Hield, Tyrese Maxey, Paul Reed over, and Buddy Hield. So Harris over points, 6+ rebounds, 2+ threes. Buddy Hield 3+ threes. Maxey 6 assists, Paul Reed 8 rebounds, over the 214, and Buddy Hield's over 14.5 points. A $10 bet gets you 308.
Right. And if you got a little juicier with it, $10 bet gets you close to $500.
All right. Well, it's a Feel Good Friday.
Somebody let my landlord know I'm paying rent this month.
It's a Feel Good Friday, man. I just want to have some good times. The SGP sounds like an L, my man. Somebody says. Why?
How down are people on the team?
Why? Because I have Tobias Harris playing well. Come on, man.
That's a casual right there.
I'm telling you, Tobias Harris is a nice night tonight. And if not, I'm shutting off my phone and I'm not paying attention. And I'm going to go, see, this is why I didn't like him. This is why I never believed in him.
You know the first thing I'm doing when we get out of here.
You text me?
No, right now. Go and clip that video of you saying this right now. That will either be used to your benefit later tonight.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, great. Glad.
Stay tuned.
You're a foxhole guy.
At 975 middays.
You're a foxhole guy for doing that. All right, so best show ever is coming your way next, so make sure you're checking them out at 2 o'clock. Next week, once more reminder, I will be in Clearwater, Baycare Ballpark, Monday and Tuesday. So we're going to have some special shows, Philly-centric shows. I'm going to speak to some players. I'm looking forward to that. I was given a bit of a heads up of who I may be speaking to, and it's going to be some fun interviews. We'll have some members of the coaching staff, and then even the reporters that are there on site. We're going to get them to stop by and have them on the show, live on set, which is going to be a lot of fun. So I can't wait for it. So 8 hours. If you're tired of Eagles talk, which I know a lot of you are, we got a lot of Phillies talk coming your way Monday and Tuesday next week. Ricky is so thrilled for me. Everybody have a great rest of your Friday. Ricky's got one more show left until the weekend. I'll be back on Monday from Baycare, 97.5 The Fanatic.